Last week, the heroes of the prophecy had come together and finished their third and final great labor. According to the oracle, that said that you are ready to sail upon the seas and face the Titans, Sidon and Lutheria, and hopefully avert the doom of all Thylia. Leaving the necropolis, you found your way to the Mytros Forge to visit Vulcan and Sally, the Forge Keeper, where you returned 2 of the items that you received from Xander Hurath, the long-dead original Dragon Lord leader. Turning over the Axe of Xander and the Shield of Vulcan so they can be repaired by Vulcan, which he said would take a couple of weeks, and meeting a new friend, Folon the Centaur, along the way, Euron decided to bond with Folon to prevent him from turning into a giant scorpion, and thus adding another follower to your merry band of groupies. That's a good term, groupies. So, Euron successfully bonded with Folon after an amazingly familial celebration under the stars outside of the Mythril Forge. He slept the night away and carried on towards Astoria. Upon arriving at Astoria, just outside the city gates, you saw 3 dragons looming over the city, flying in a circular pattern, and when they seemed to recognize you, they flew down to meet you on the road outside of Astoria. They presented themselves as centurions of Mytros, their leader Tarkon speaking to you and inviting you to Mytros at the behest of King Acastus. He expects you to return to Mytros with them and help them placate the Lord of Storms, Sidon, to release the city from this horrible hurricane that has been plaguing them for several weeks. Without a decision immediately forthcoming, the Centurions returned to Astoria and informed you that they would meet you at the beginning of the next day for your final decision. Entering into Astoria, there was a bit of disagreement. Some of the party members went to go speak to Tarkon and gain some more information. And at the end of the night is where we left last session. So, if I forgot anything, correct me, but if I did not forget anything, okay. You awake with the sun coming up over the east, the Dragon's Tooth Inn allowing the warm breeze and the smells of breakfast foods and morning honey mead into your room. I understand that each of you would like to awake at slightly staggered times, maybe waking up a little bit early, so you can go ahead and roleplay that as you wish. But you are all in your common room in the Dragon's Tooth Inn. The air is beautiful, there are birds chirping outside your window, and the next leg of your journey begins. So, the scene is yours.
I'd like to try and get up a little earlier before everyone else, and go outside, find that tree I punched, and maybe just sit. I'm sorry, I nearly made you choke. Sit there and kind of take a moment and just try and meditate a little, and try and think past the emotion and try and come up with some more articulate words for the morning. And if Olan comes out to sit with me, I will just kind of nod and keep sitting.
Okay.
Until someone comes to get me and saying, hurry up, we need to go talk.
You got it. Folon does notice you waking up. He doesn't immediately follow. It takes a little bit extra time to stretch and give you some space, but after a little while he comes out there and just kind of sits next to you and watching you curiously as he's munching on some bread and pretending to kind of get into it supportively behind you, meditating, watching you.
I'll wake up about right now and go outside and see them. And I'll kind of tap Folon on the shoulder and be like, just leave her alone, but come with me. Like, we'll walk out to like a little clearing and I'll just like ask him to spar with me. Just get like a morning sweat session happening. Maybe clear my head a little bit.
Alright, my head kind of hurts from the night before, but just take it kind of easy on me. Seeing 3 of you right now.
We got it, brother.
So, he spars with you.
I'll go lightly. Just be like, what's the deal with your writer? Why is she getting so worked up about this? I don't understand. It's just a few days.
Well, I reckon if I were to find out that my tribe was getting waylaid by the Lord of Storms, I'd kind of want to hurry back too, if you catch my drift.
No, the Oracle told us we needed these weapons. I really am scared to go without them.
I can understand that, but if you don't mind me saying, Miss Strong Lady Centaur Woman, I think if y'all are gonna face down these things, and you really are the heroes of the prophecy, which I don't imagine you'd be doing this if you didn't think you were, then you don't really have much to fear. Or if you die, then at least you died trying. You know what I mean?
And we'll just continue sparring as I absorb that, I guess.
Okay. He's getting winded really quick.
Oh gosh. All right. Go take a seat. Do this myself.
Just need a little breather. 3 minutes. Woo!
Would you
I'll
like
just,
some
shadow box?
All right. Lycus?
Yeah, so I wake up. Good morning, Cyanus. Kind of do my morning little stretch routine. I'll look out the window and see Euron sitting under her tree. Open that. Hey! Hey!
what?
Are you having a moment?
I'm trying to think.
How's it going?
Not quite as well as I was before you started yelling at me.
Did you think to order breakfast?
I thought I'd leave that in your capable hands.
Okay, you want some eggs? Cyanus, you want eggs? Yeah, he wants that. Cyanus wants eggs! Do you want some eggs too?
Did you turn into Howard's mother from Big Bang Theory? Is that what's happening here?
I don't know, I think I might have just invoked her. You know, and may God rest her soul. Yeah.
Sure. Hold on a moment. Ina! Fall on! Lycus is ordering breakfast. What do you want?
Meat.
What did she say?
Ina wants meat!
Stale bread.
She wants mead?
Flesh! And Folon wants some more bread.
This entire time I'm just sitting in bed and I'm just covering my head with a pillow oh my god, shut the fuck up, it's too early for this shit.
I've picked up a rock and I'm trying to figure out if I'm close enough to just peg him in the face with it.
Nowhere near. We don't see your sweat session happening. Okay, I'll get some mead and eggs and flesh. Cyanus! Oh, sorry, buddy. You're sleeping. Okay. All right. I go down and order everything.
No problem. Delphion is there on the house, as you've become accustomed to. He whips
I
it
still
up.
tip him the amount it would cost regardless.
Well, very, very, very fine, sir. Thank you. Hands it all over to you.
Mm-hmm. And I proceed to just start eating it.
Like they're in the tavern room, or back in the sleeping room, or
No, in the main tavern room. I mean,
okay.
Not gonna bring it back up to. We're not sleeping in. You know, they're all up. They're gonna come in. They're gonna sit down.
It's not a bread and breakfast.
Yeah, the breakfast hall,
I was just curious.
which
I'll
is
give it
also
a
the
few
lunch
moments.
hall, the dinner hall, the dining hall.
And second breakfast and afternoon tea and the Levinses, of course.
See, she knows me so well.
After a few minutes, if, getting the, all right, he's not coming back, I'll just kind of yell over to Ina. I'm not going to actually yell this time because I don't want to destroy my mic. And just go yell towards Ina and full on. Food is inside. And then go inside.
We'll head inside.
And maybe pop through the window. Sionis, how are you doing?
I just
Do you
want
need me to
sleep.
carry? Do you need me to carry you out?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Do you need me to dump water on your face?
No.
All right. Come on, let's get some food.
Morning, sleepyhead. See, you should have taken some of the dragon horn. Makes you sleep like a baby.
Anything from that, by the way?
No. Just a nice peaceful rest.
Nowhere closer to an answer then. Fun.
Sorry, I can't rip my earbuds out.
I said nowhere closer to an answer then.
Well, we know where the bad shit's happening, so are we going? What are we doing? What's happening?
Like, I think we need to talk to. Has Ina come in yet?
Yeah, I'm in.
And Q-Ina.
And scene.
Oh,
She comes
look,
through the door
there
just
she
sneezing
is.
like, oh, I thought someone said my name.
And I have your mead.
I didn't
I
want
got-
mead.
I was trying to say meat.
Yeah. Well, I have that too, but I thought you said mead. Okay, no problem. I take her helpings of mead,
Thanks, Lycos.
of course.
So my thinking is that we just don't know enough to go. Like, Sidon hasn't put any direct requirements or demands, and I just feel like that's really strange. I just really get the sense we're walking into a trap.
Yes, if the only condition I think that was ever placed on the city was for the Temple of the Five Gods to come down, but that's been an ongoing issue for a few years now.
Yeah, and honestly, if a city's not willing to lose one building to save itself, then what could we hope to do for it?
My only comment is that our next part of our journey is that we need to cross the seas towards the island of the Fates and to the islands where the Titans are. And Mytros is the largest port nearby. If we want to continue on the next leg of our journey, we need to be able to sail out of that city. And that city, and you can't really sail out of a hurricane. No matter how strong your arms are at oaring, using yours. I don't think oaring is the right word.
Rowing?
Thank you.
Yep.
It's morning.
I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to respond to that statement with a question. Are we going to need the weapons that the Oracle told us we need to face the Titans for the next leg of our journey? Or are we, do you propose that we go, handle business, come back, and then go back?
I believe that would be my only suggestion. It's
Which would possibly waste more time.
So I tried to think, and the only sort of compromise I can offer between this is that we write a message to King Acastus and tell him our concerns, that we just came out of a big fight, we nearly lost one of our own, and we need more information about what is going on, more than what his men could provide. And then we send that along with them. That's the only suggestion I can think of. But that doesn't change my own feeling of urgency to go. But that's as much as the best I can think of.
What do you think, Cyanus?
Muted.
I mean, I know why you guys are concerned for me, but you should also remember it wasn't Lutheria or Sidon that killed me. It was basically my own doing that killed me.
I know, but you're about as tough as a wet cat, so we are concerned.
I hope you mean that in the most loving sense possible.
I do. I absolutely do. We all play a role. We all play a role.
We broke the DM. We broke the DM.
Oh, I have so many questions. So many questions.
First of all, that a wet cat is a force to be reckoned with.
And he is, but
Just got a little awkward in here, and that's what I'm saying. Glorious, come on, we gotta go get some supplies. You see
Just
full
kinda
on Glorious
pat.
walk out.
Just pat Full-On's arm as he walks out.
Ooh, I tell you what, Aurora.
As Folon's walking out, I'm like, hey, if you find any armor for me, that's cool. If not, cool too.
I'm sure they got some kid-sized armor out here. I'll find you something. Don't worry.
Studded leather, if you could, for him, Full-On. Please.
I am studded. Thank you. Door closes behind.
God.
I don't understand men.
The trick is not to have expectations.
I'll keep that in mind.
You'll never be surprised.
Otherwise, in terms of a compromise, I have a thought, but I'm not really sure if I should be the one to really suggest it or do it, even.
And the other option would be somebody read your mind and then propose.
I'll continue. I'm trying to pause for effect here.
Oh, I missed it. It's like an Oxford comma.
Exactly. Whatever Oxford is.
It's a place he's by the pheasant merchant.
So, okay. Oh, I didn't really go to that corner of Mytros much, but
Clearly.
so, suggestion. Didn't Kira say that the royal game was used for making important decisions? Especially when both sides had points on either side? We could play for it. We could play for it.
Yeah, I know.
To stay or go.
I mean, you could have a rematch with me.
I'll never back down from a rematch, especially when I lost the last time. Fate has to turn in my favor one of these days.
Yeah. But maybe today is not your day.
We won't know unless we play.
So...
I'll go get some more mead.
So if I win, we go.
And if I win, we stay.
Yep. All right. Let me go get it out of my bag. Run back to the room, go through my bags, pick up the game, come back out to the table that we're all at.
I'm gonna go to the room with him and get my bag too. I want the little statuette of Thylia to be out on the table as I play.
Got it.
All right. So, you remember it's best of 7, yeah?
I remember.
Okay. All right. So, first, performance check. I don't know how to flavor this in like character terms. All right.
Some kind of challenge of like, oh, do you really think you can do better this time? Show me.
Yeah.
It's all right. We're warming up. You're doing fine.
Yeah, it's early. All right. So I rolled an 18.
Oh. I'm going to perform a prayer to Thylia. to give wisdom and favor that her will be carried out. And I rolled a 7.
Okay. 1 for me.
I'm gonna tap the statuette and be like, I was talking to you. need you to show up now.
All right, so next one is going to be insight. So I've been trying to cook up this one possible move in my head. I want to see if it actually works. All right, and that's a 16.
I rolled a dirty 20.
Okay, 1 each. 1 each.
Thank Thylea very quickly under my breath.
All right. Next, history. I think I remember you playing something exactly like that last time.
You'll hear Lycus just.
I'm going to use my history with goats and the fact that they freeze when they're afraid.
I beg your pardon, madam.
Look, the only time Lycus has ever frozen was when he looked that thing in the face.
I do not recall such events.
The basilisk,
Yeah,
darling.
of course you wouldn't.
He's too dumb to be afraid.
I rolled a...
Owie!
I know that pain.
Josh takes 3 piercing damage.
Literally. Sorry.
What'd you roll, Austin?
I rolled a 3. I know, I said that right when we were actually in the middle of doing that.
I rolled a 7.
Okay. So 1, 2, you're up.
As the fates have decreed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not actually sure if my fans are on the proper sides according to how the stream looks, but it's how it looks for me in Zoom. So
It's fine. All right. Next up, got some deception. Bet you didn't see this shit coming.
Wouldn't that be the point of deception?
I probably
27.
didn't. I rolled a 2.
I rolled a nat 20 plus my plus 7, so 2-2. All right.
Shifty rogue.
All right. Next up, we got some intimidation tactics.
From somewhere outside the tavern, you hear, "Oi, you two! You gotta pay for that!" "Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Galloping intensifies.
Euron just groans and just goes, Silence, do you mind if I pull a bit out of the bag? The money
Fine,
for
go.
them?
Yeah, go.
I'll pull out some coin and go run out and pacify the shopkeepers.
You got it.
All right. So, intimidation tactics. I'm gonna send out my biggest pieces up front. See if you can do see if you can deal with that.
I'm afraid you're suffering from delusions of adequacy.
Oh, shit!
I wish I was in there to hear that.
I wrote that one down.
I rolled a 5.
I rolled a 18.
So I sent out a bunch of big dudes, but you're like, "Meh."
I'm a big girl.
All right. So 3-2. Next up, we got some persuasion. Well, I mean,
Only the fates could persuade me at this point.
well, you're also
But
up
give it
by
your best
1.
shot.
You're up by 1, but I think I've got this. You rolled a 9.
I rolled a 7.
God, okay. Oh, all right. 3-3.
Dun dun dun.
right. I tap the Thylia statue again. I'm like, all right, girlfriend, like, it's the time. It's put up or shut up time.
Next up, we got perception. And I think you're cracking under the pressure.
Under pressure.
You just wish you could see at my level.
Dirty 20.
She just that critted you. She just whooped out.
38.
She said 38?
Dirty 8.
Oh!
I was like, what the fuck?
I've got a plus 18 perception.
I was like, what's this?
So, no more magic items for Ina. Holy fuck!
I know. What do you see with your? I know. What do you see with your centaur eye? Everything.
I see your
The
real
past.
mom.
Oh, shit.
I guess-
Ina punches the table.
Euron pops her head through the window, just like, who won?
Clearly not fisticuffs over here.
Right. I need to go calm down the shopkeeper. I'll be back.
Just throw Cyanus' money at him.
That's what I'm doing.
As soon as Euron's head leaves the window, you see Lori's and Folon's pop in like, what happened? Yeah, who? What are we doing?
We're heading out.
Loris looks shocked and Folon just gets this big shit-eating grin on his face.
Sorry, I know, but rolls is rolls.
If this must be what the fates want. Oh.
When she reaches for her Thylia statuette, she realizes it's been replaced with a Kira statuette carved out of soap.
It's like, hey, wait a minute. This is just a candle.
I've been bamboozled.
I need to start keeping track of how many times we make the DM crack up.
Y'all are on it tonight. I'm gonna have to reel it in here soon.
No.
All right.
Eventually, I'll come back in and hand back the remaining gold, and we just go. We really need to help these two understand the concept of money.
I'm gonna look at Folon and ask if he's geared up.
You go outside, you see Folon standing out there. He has a really rudimentary yet strong and effective looking pike and a pretty nice longbow with a big quiver of arrows on his back. He also found a little satchel. You can see a rope and some other general adventuring type stuff hanging on it. I'm as ready as I'll ever be. I don't know about my rider though. He seemed awful ticked.
I'm alright. I'll look at Ina and just say, next time we have a pause, if we need to work off some stress, I'm more than happy to spar with you.
Sounds good.
Save Folon a headache. Or two.
Yeah.
As I walk by Folon, I go, wow, that's a pretty rudimentary weapon.
Well, at least I got one.
My words are my weapon.
You do have a pretty voice. And he turns.
He pretty much just told you, hey, you got a pretty mouth, boy.
And that's what I just heard. I just heard fucking banjos in the background. My fucking harp starts playing itself. Ding, 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 ding. God.
Is there anything else we need to do before we leave?
I
And
mean, I'm all,
Nora.
Yeah, Pythor asked if we could.
I'm all.
Maybe some potions of not drowning.
I might, if we're on the way, I might pick up a few more lengths of rope. Just because Targon said that the people were having to tie themselves together in order to get through the streets. So, just as we walk through, if I can pick up a couple more lengths of hempen rope, I gladly will.
And if I can find any more potions of healing, because I've only got the one right now.
Let's see. Roll me an investigation check.
Oh, and more healer's kits. More healer's kits. I only have 2 left.
You can easily restock healer kits, that's fine.
Yes.
I rolled an 18.
18, okay. You can purchase up to 3 more regular potions of healing. In various alchemy shops and things around. They're still kind of, they're running low. The stock that came in for the wine festival is starting to run low in all these various things that they brought in with them, but there is still some stuff available.
Okay. And they were half priced? Or, I remember there was some sort of discount to them, but I don't remember what from our, like, whole fame thing.
For this would be 80%. So
it'd be 40. Okay.
yes, 40.
Gotcha.
I was doing math in my head. I was doing the
Gotcha.
maths.
Alright, so I'll take all 3. Get rid of that gold.
And it would be 8 silver for each coil of 50 feet of rope you're on.
How much silver? Could you repeat that?
8 silver for every 50 feet you want.
Okay, so that'll be 24 silver gone. And restock my healing kits, however much that'll be.
This is the first time you guys have actually restocked this. I'm proud of you. Let's see.
Yeah, I restocked
So-
mine as well. She's missing 2.
Okay, so we'll say 4 gold.
Okay.
So 4 gold for
4 gold for the
Huron,
healers.
4 gold for Lycus, or 4 gold
for
gold
each
for-
4 gold per healer's kit.
Okay.
If you're between half and all the way out. If you're less than that, then 2 gold.
Okay.
I'm trying not to screw you guys over.
Yeah. So 4 gold minus 4 gold and 24 silver.
Okay. Gotcha. Brings us to a new total of 1,011 gold.
Never say it out loud. He will find a way to reduce that for us.
I mean, we're totally not embezzling money. Alright,
Not sure I
so-
even know what that word means.
Embezzling? It's fraud.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but you know what fraud means?
It's shorter.
Josh, you should understand that. Come on, buddy.
Alright.
I get it. Shorthand. Yeah.
Here you go.
I mean, her intelligence is pretty average, but still.
As y'all are prepping to leave the Dragon's Tooth, Delphion catches one of yours attention. Doesn't really matter who. Excuse me, are y'all gonna be leaving again? I got this package that's been waiting on you, and you seem so distracted last night. I didn't want to bring it up.
Package? What?
Oh, a purse, more. I'll get it. Just one second. He goes in the back and he comes out, and there's a leather satchel. It's more of a sack than anything. Has a leather thong around the top, and as he drops it down on the bar, you hear ching, the sound of coins hitting the bar top.
You have my attention.
This came yesterday morning. A runner from someone named Dan.
And
Okay, okay.
I don't know. Anyway, here you go.
Many thanks. Then I just take the satchel from him and start counting up everything.
Okay. Inside is a note. It says, "With great appreciation, the proceeds split from the treasures we found when clearing the Mythrol Forge yours in honor, Dan the dwarf. And it is a total of 400 gold, 230 silver, and 500 copper.
Sick. All right. Cool. And then I'll toss Delphion like 5 silver, just for like, hey, thanks for holding on to us.
My sincere pleasures. Always happy to have you around. If you come back soon, please. Or let me know if you're not, so I can start renting the room again.
I mean, we're always around.
Very good. So, having completed your preparations, you stand outside the Dragon's Tooth Inn, plotting your next move.
Shall we go see Honora then?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll follow you guys.
Let's do it.
Alright. Making your way through the marble-lined streets of the city of Astoria, you almost don't even notice the people walking by and patting your shoulder and trying to shake your hand and tossing flower petals at you as you make your way up the busy streets through the agora and then turning towards the east and down the alley passageway. And once again you see the bronze dome, the beautiful dragon motif pediment, and the doors are wide open. The candles inside letting out that very aromatic scent you've become accustomed to. It's relatively dark inside, and as usual you see several acolytes and Aesop in there. They're over to a corner and they seem to be mixing something up, some type of poultice or something. Oh, please come in. Welcome.
Did Mike actually pick that up?
I did.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I did. Well, welcome back. What can I do for you?
We are on our way out again, and we hope perhaps we might see Honora before we leave.
Yes, of course. Right this way. And he breaks off from his group and goes down the hallway, the stone floor echoing as your footsteps bounce off the walls. And you turn into the room, and she is lying on a wooden altar of sorts. There's several candles lit throughout the room. There's many flowers that seem to have been brought, and they have notes and things attached to them. Glancing at a few of them as you walk by, you see they're from the various peoples of Astoria, paying respects and honor. You notice Aesop has a curious look on his face as he enters the room and stands near Honora's body and turns to look at each of you. And he kind of bows his head and backs up a bit. As you filter in the room around Honora's body, you see that her feet and up to the point of her ankles aren't the same natural warm skin tone that she has been holding on to since she was laid in repose. A dark grayish skin tone has started to creep up her body, and there's various black streaks, almost as though they're tracing her veins, but not quite, almost unnaturally so. And they seem to be climbing up. And you don't see them moving up as you stand there, but they have come up to about an inch or two above her ankles.
What's happening here?
I thought you came by because you knew.
No, we had no idea.
Well, We really aren't sure. We've never had this happen before. We spoke to Kira about it, and she's under the impression that either Lutheria is focusing her energy, which she says is unlikely, or Lutheria is simply gaining power and is overcoming the spells that we put on her in the name of Mytros and the latent energy that Kira left when she attempted to revive her. I don't know if you noticed or not, but Kira has seemed exhausted, and that may have something to do with it.
That was just me.
Do you think the Lady Valis would have any answers?
If anyone would know, it would be Queen Valis, the goddess of wisdom. She is, without doubt, one of, if not the most knowledgeable person in all of Thylea. That's her entire domain, is wisdom and knowledge.
Well, we hope to gain an audience with her when we go to Mytros, so we'll be sure to inquire about this.
That would be most welcome. And please don't forget to give Queen Valis the Horn of Valmitria as well, for safekeeping. Well, I will leave you to pay your respects. If there's anything else, just call on me in the main chamber. Aesop quietly walks out the room.
Wonder if you guys wonder if Lutheria didn't bring me back, if eventually this would be happening to me.
With Lutheria having such a passion for your life in her hands, who knows what she would have done to you?
Well, if anything, I came back. It's just proof that she can come back.
I'm gonna walk up to Nora's head and sort of bend down and press a kiss to her forehead, and a couple of the flower petals that were thrown at us are still sitting in there, and a couple of the snakes just pick them up and sort of shower them a little bit around her. We'll get you back, darling. We'll get you back. Did Folon and Lorius follow us in?
They came to the door, but in a combination, you would feel like a combination of the size of the room and the fact that this isn't really their place, so to speak. They seem to be keeping a respectful distance outside the doorway.
Are they in earshot?
If you would speak in a normal voice, it's reasonable to assume they would hear you.
Okay. I might lean in and also kind of very quietly just say, also, I don't think we can take both of them. And I'll jerk my head towards the door. I'm speaking softly, but I have to talk louder for this, so. Because I think the Takon and the dragons said they could take 5. And we have 6.
I understand. I'll sit out, and I'll
Like us?
What? I'm offering myself as tribute.
I understand that, but they asked for the heroes, and don't you think it would be amiss if not all the heroes came.
I just wanted to hear you say it.
Of course you did, you fucker.
And then I'm just in the corner like, of course, our leader has to come.
Oh. I love you guys. I love y'all so much.
I need target practice. So.
I love you too.
I guess, you know what my favorite part about you is? You're impossible to underestimate.
I know no bounds.
That feels along the same lines as the promise, may you live in interesting times.
You know, it's almost like interesting times just follow me wherever I go.
Exactly.
It's perfect.
But seriously.
All right. Shall we flip a coin?
I vote Bolon goes and Loria stays and continues studying with Aesop.
Then you're telling him that. Every time he looks at... He's taking a shining to me, but every time he looks at me and does those, like, puppy eyes, I just break.
What do the rest of you guys think?
I think we should.
Would be more helpful.
I think we should bring Phil on.
Yeah. I'm fine with it.
Alright.
Okay. I'll approach Aesop and ask if it would be okay if we kind of put Lorius under his care while we're gone. If he would not be an intrusion for the work he's trying to do, he'd be okay. Lorius kind of like hung around, learned some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No, quite the opposite. He's more than welcome. He's been quite studious and motivated.
Awesome,
Yes,
thank you.
Of course. Yeah.
So I'll exit the building and address Lorius and tell him that Aesop would love for him to stay while we go so that he can continue learning and possibly help with the Nora situation.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that seems like a really good idea. All right.
I'll write to you every day.
That's me, not him.
But we won't.
We would love for you to come, but we really do think that you could serve a greater purpose here.
I look at Cyanus and I'm like, fuck. When did she learn how to lie?
Throwing daggers at Lycus.
You can't hear me. I'm whispering to Cyanus. You hush your face.
I'll just put my things in the temporary room and begin daily rituals. Good luck. Be careful. And he puts his head down a little bit and walks inside the temple.
As he passes by, I will, like, put an arm around it, give him a hug. And God, I don't want to feed a delusion, but I'm gonna have to. And just say, you wish to prove yourself greater worthy, yes?
Yes.
After this, we are about to embark on the next great part of our journey, and we will need all the help we can get. Can we count on you for that?
Of course. Of course.
Thank you.
And you go to pull away, and you hear a little.
Oh
And he
God!
turns
I'll give him a hug. I'll give
walks
him.
inside.
No, proper hug.
You're gonna grab him from behind, and he just kind of stops and puts his chin on your forearms until you let him go, and then he keeps walking in.
Joey, I'm already feeling guilty. Don't
I throw
do that
rocks
to me.
at him to go away.
He's already inside. I'm sorry. Unless you want to go inside, you can. You're welcome
Not really
to.
gonna throw rocks at him.
You gotta stop saying things you're not gonna do. Eventually, I'm not gonna let you take it back.
Okay, so should we head to the castle then to let them know what our decision is?
Just for clarity, they had let you know that they would be kind of hanging out outside the city gate to the south.
Oh.
Because either way, they were leaving that morning, whether you came or not.
Oh, okay. Did we need to talk to Kira about anything? Or are we ready to go?
Yes, no, actually, I, especially since we just heard with, Honora, I think I would like to check in on, Lady Kira.
We'll do that real quick.
Okay. So the lot of you are going to the Palace of Astoria. Okay. So all together, walk back through the streets, up the palace steps, through the massive buildings, doors, and then you go to the hallway on the right where you know to be Kira's room, and the door is most of the way open. And you see Kira and Pythor sitting near each other on the bed. They're just talking kind of quietly amongst themselves. As your footfalls pressed close to the doorway, you hear their voices stop and they look up, and when you appear in the doorway, you see their faces go from concerned to smiling warmly. Come in. Come in. So it looks like you're heading out.
Yep, about to head out to, take care of this whole hurricane nonsense and, see what we can't do in Mytros. I just wanted to come in and check on Lady Kira, my love.
You see Pythor turns to look at Kira, and she looks at Lycus. Lycus. I'm
Darling.
fine. I'm fine.
That's what they all say.
Those bags under your eyes say different.
Like you've never been tired before.
But how often are you tired?
More often than usual lately.
I believe it. Cyanus, get out of here. It's just exhausting.
Cyanus, don't you listen to him.
I mean, I usually don't. Unless we're in a maze.
I saved his life.
Honestly, I'm just a bit exhausted.
Say that to these fucking scars!
Alright, would you let us know if there's anything we can do?
I'm fine. I'll be fine.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I'll give Pythor a look and just be like, make sure she's okay. Also, just out of curiosity, what is King Acastus like as we're about to meet him? I only ever saw him from a distance.
Are you asking them or talking amongst yourselves?
Them.
Oh. Pythor speaks up. Well, far be it from me to besmirch a fellow king. We don't really see eye to eye. He is very loved by his people, and he very much enjoys being loved by his people. The Mytrosians are cut from a different cloth than Astorians are. He seeks to be as powerful and famous as his ancestor. And I think he's willing to do whatever he can to achieve that. But a king's a king. I'm sure you've had your thoughts of me, and I'm sure I would not have the same thoughts of myself, so who am I? You'll decide for yourselves.
Thank you.
I was just curious, does he like fucking necklaces? Does he like shiny shit? Don't talk about his mother?
I am sure that Queen Valis would be the best one to ask about King Acastus, seeing as how they've been married for several decades.
Oh, I'm sure she's been miserable.
Well, yes. She should be who you speak to.
Okay. Does she like shiny shit?
You have no idea.
Ooh,
If anyone in all of the land of Thylea matches your vanity, it's my sister.
I am a shiner.
We shall see.
But is she the kind? I've heard stories that flattery, a baseless flattery, might not be the best way to speak to her. Does that sound about right?
That's a reasonable way to put it, yes. She will be straightforward with you, but she values her appearance very greatly. We all have our quirks.
Yeah, no baseless words. So Cyanus is not allowed to speak. No baseless. Like the whole premise just completely, he's like, oh, so, because everything I say has true value and carries weight. So if Cyanus speaks, it's baseless stuff because he's just talking to talk. But clearly, if it's me speaking, like that's what I'm trying to say. I'm meaning here.
Yeah, Euron's face is just.
I will do everything I can to make certain that Cyanus does not screw this up and insult the lovely lady.
And I'll kind of over Lycus's head. Euron will kind of give Kira just sort of that sort of long-suffering smile of like, and we'll make sure he doesn't.
She smirks back. They're smiling at both of you. Cyanus. Do you hear? Why do you put up with such insults? His blood is as good as anyone's.
Yeah, but is his blood my blood? No, it's not. So shut your mouth.
Yeah, hush up. My grandmama gonna come talk to that weapon. You're gonna have two voices in your head in a minute. My grandmama gonna bitch slap your weapon in 30 seconds. You just wait.
So, then I imagine we do not want to keep them waiting.
Yeah. Hey, it's gonna be our first time riding a dragon.
I'm so glad I'm not afraid of heights. I'll bow to like Kira and Pycroft, just, the polite little bit of bow and just.
Oh no, we're gonna ride dragons. I didn't get the dragons any gifts. Quick, what do you get a dragon as a gift?
They're gonna carry us.
What?
I think they're gonna carry us in their.
I know. You have to. What do you give it? What do you give a dragon as a thank you gift?
Food.
I assure you, Lycus, the dragons of Mytros are well taken care of, if nothing else. Besides, they have come with a mission. You don't need to gift them anything. In fact, they are quite temperamental for curious reasons.
Curious reasons?
It's not ominous at all.
Is it best that we see for ourselves?
They don't remind me of the dragons in the first war. At all. Their personalities or their demeanor, they're just their own kind, their own attitude.
That fruit fell pretty far from the tree kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. Eventually it all does.
Alright, out of character. What kind of dragons are these, by the way?
You say silver, huh?
No, they weren't silver. Bronze, I'm 99% sure.
Oh, I thought they were silver. Okay, my bad.
Mm-hmm.
We know.
Couldn't remember if we actually declared that or not last time.
Bronze.
Well, considering that Balmetria was the only silver one, I think, out of all the rest.
That is accurate.
Right. Yeah. On to the dragons.
So we're ready? Go ahead, ask. I know Josh is, Lycus is very much into dragons. Would he like us to wait for a moment, or... Oh, he's back. There, we waited for a moment.
There we
See
go.
how awesome that is?
Exactly.
He was checking on me.
As well he should. So, you exit the Palace of Astoria, make your way down Main Street through the Agora, past all the residential district. Along the way, you see a familiar face, grinning warmly, popped up on one crutch with a piece of his leg missing. And Theracles hails you as you walk past. He greets you, wishes you a good day. Heard you were heading out, wanted to make sure he saw you. No real significant reason for him to talk or share anything with you. He's just greeting you and wishing you well on your way. So,
whatever the Mytrosian equivalent of a high five is, I do to him as we walk by.
High fives are fine.
Sure. It requires both legs, though.
How does a high five require both legs?
Because he's gonna get hopping mad.
I'm just gonna let that go.
You're just gonna let that one walk away?
Oh, man.
I get it. Walk away.
I'm gonna kill both of you.
I don't think Theracles would appreciate this.
They both take a crutch to the back of the head.
And we like this guy. That's the worst part. He gets it. He's an old salt.
So, approaching the gate of Astoria, you see the three bronze dragons. They're sitting? Standing? Standing. Not really sure what to call it when a dragon is not flying. Anyway,
Haunched? They're sitting on their haunches?
They're there on the ground.
Resting.
I'm just
Resting.
imagining how a dog would sit.
Yeah, that's in my mind too. So they're ready. On the ground, Tarkon and two centurions are out there. You see them tending to them. One of them keeping the passers-by pushed back away from the dragons. They see you approach and they start kind of fastening their gear and things like that, making ready for whatever the verdict is. Tarkon approaches you when you get about 20 steps out. Well, the time has come for us to depart. Is it with you or without you?
It's with.
Very good. By normal
But if
traveling...
this is a trap on behalf of Sidon, I will find you. I will kill you.
She's got a very, very particular set of skills. I've seen it.
I assure you. Aina, is it? If this is a trap, it is unbeknownst to me, and I am just as likely to get caught in any crossfire between the gods and the titans as you.
All right.
Very good. So, by normal way, it's 3 days travel along the road. However, by dragon, it is about a day and a half. Once we get close enough to the city and the storm picks up in fury, we will have to land and you will walk behind us. The dragons opening their wings to buffet most of the strongest winds, so you should be able to make your way, because, as I said, they cannot fly in these howling gales carrying all of you. When we approach the city gates, we will fly off around the back, carefully hugging the wall to reach our roost so we can put away the dragons, and you may enter the city gates normally, as would anybody, and be greeted by the centurions there. The centurions will escort you safely through the streets of Mytros, based on whatever streets are the least flooded, the least crowded, and so on, to the palace of Mytros, where you will immediately have your audience with King Mytros to not waste any time. Are there any questions?
Any suggestions for how to stay comfortable as we are flying by dragon?
If you're scared of heights, don't look down. Not that bad. A little uncomfortable, especially since you'll be carried, but it beats walking the whole way. And it'll get you through the hurricane, so.
How long have you been a dragon rider?
I was promoted about 5 months ago now.
Oh, so you're still new.
Do I have any memory of there being of dragons in the Centurions?
No.
This is a relatively new thing, then.
Yeah. Neuron's eyebrows are up, but
Very interesting. How old do these dragons look? If one had to estimate, young, wormling, big old boys.
They look to be full grown, as best you
Adult.
can tell. I mean, then we'd be getting into how much knowledge of dragons does Lycus have.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're just like, they're big as fuck.
They are.
Like,
actually, in
Yeah.
comparison to Balmitria's tomb, are they about the same size or like a bit smaller?
No, they're smaller. They are adult. They're not massive.
Big as a house.
Yes, they are big as a house.
gotcha. Okay.
Big as the dragon that fucked up my tribe.
Mm.
Yes,
Big or bigger
they are.
than,
They are. I was gonna answer. I know. They are more slender, but just as long.
Okay.
what was it? What was the
Gaius'
dragon?
dragon?
Yes,
Gaius'
well-
dragon?
Yeah, Gaius' dragon. I'm just curious size-wise, are they bigger than Gaius' dragon or smaller?
They're a
Comparable.
decent bit smaller.
All right, well, thank you. I was just curious.
I'll lean in and make a towards Lycus and just say sort of softly under my breath. Then I guess if you are taking on the role of leader, these aren't the dragons you would fly.
No, these are not the dragons I'm looking for.
Number 12? I think that's about 12 times we've made him crack up in the first hour.
Yeah. So I walk over and just start petting the dragon.
Like on his front leg, or
Yeah, or if he's got a wing out or leg. Yeah, probably.
I'm just curious
leg.
where, so I can tell you how he reacts. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, if he's sitting on his haunches, I can't really climb him in this position, so I'm assuming not his leg. Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Okay. You reach out, and for a second, you feel the cold scales of bronze glinting in the sunlight reflecting off in your eyes, and a flurry of movement, and you get shoved back 10 feet by the leg. He turns and scowls at you, and then goes back to nuzzling on his other leg. He
Actually,
doesn't
maybe
seem to
that
want
is
anything
it.
to do with you.
I'll
Well,
look
that
at-
was rather rude.
I'll look at Tarkon and just go, so based on that, don't try and cozy up to the dragons at all?
Just consider them work animals, and you'll be fine.
Alright.
I walk over and look him right in his damn eyes, the dragon. You're not just a damn work animal.
Turns and looks.
Like I'm staring, like I'm looking at it. Like, am I seeing it? Like, you know, you look at you look at an ox, you see an animal. You look at a dragon, you should see intelligence. You know what I'm saying?
Give me an insight check.
So that's what I'm like. You're not just some dumb animal. I want to see if I'm seeing intelligence here.
He locked your eyes and he snorted at you and pulled his head up. But yeah, give me an insight check.
I'm so terrible at insight. Why? Oh, that's 19.
You know, there is a look of intelligence, the look of a soul, like when you look in an intelligent creature or a person's eyes. Something's just not right.
Am I just getting more animalistic vibe? Kind of thing?
Can't really
No.
tell.
Okay.
It's just strange.
Okay. Well, I pet his tooth and then I walk away.
Tooth.
You,
That
reach
is
out,
no-
you can reach out to, but he pulled his head up as soon as you locked eyes with him for a moment.
He blinked first. It's okay. One tends to do that when the king stares them in the eyes.
Oh dear lord.
The
Let
crown
us
is
get
not
on
on
with
my
this
head.
journey.
The crown is not on my head, though. I don't want to take away from other royalty members present.
So, is there a preference of who goes where, or just
I'll go
As
on
soon
that
as-
one.
As soon as you're ready, just spread out a bit so no one gets knocked over and we'll be off.
I'll give Fola and just sort of a this is going to be fun sort of face.
All right, let's get up in the air. Hey.
Oh God.
So you all get 5-10 feet apart. The three riders mount their dragons. You take off, come around low and slow. Wings stretch out one at a time in a line. Pick up Lycus and Ina. Pick up. You're on full on. Grab Cyanus.
Wait a minute. So they picked us up with claws? Like they're holding us. We're not riding in the saddle.
Right.
What
Yep.
the fuck is this? This
We've
is how-
been knowing this.
We knew this.
That's how they would carry you. That's not how they're supposed to carry me.
Why am I on the same dragon as Lycus? I'm cursing the fates right now.
Ina, this is not
They
part
did
of the
this
plan.
to me.
This is not part of the plan. Bullshit.
Duron's like half holding on with like one arm around the talon, and then the other arm's kind of out, just like woo!
These massive fingers, clawed talons, are stretching around your body. One of them is wrapped around Ina's torso and is covering her entire belly, and the other two are underneath her bottom belly. And you see, I'm trying to remember. I mean, how do I describe that? Right? You have two bellies.
Stomach. You can say
The
stomach.
belly and the stomach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try and distinguish.
So these massive hands encompassing you, smothering you. It's almost as though they are holding tighter than they need to, but not enough to hurt. It's a very strange sensation as you get higher and higher, eventually reaching the bottom of the cloud tops. And you skim across the Thylean countryside, stretching out over the heartlands in the direction of Mytros. You stay like this for the better part of the day, the majority of the time. Every 3 or 4 hours, they stop to rest their wings, and y'all disembark. The rest of the journey is going to proceed as that until you get close to Mytros. So, this is your opportunity to let me know if there's anything you would like to do while you are traveling during these rests every 3 or 4 hours, or overnight, because you will have to camp out in a relatively secluded opening in the forest overnight.
During the breaks and such, I would like to take out my longbow and just practice that, get better at it.
Okay. You're welcome to roll for fun, or we can just hand wave it.
Yeah, we can just hand wave it. Just know I'm doing it.
I'm playing my violin while we're flying.
Okay.
I'm requesting to ride with a different dragon.
Do you want to swap, Ina?
Oh yes.
All right.
And then me and Folon are just throwing it out on the other dragon. Like, hey man, what's up? This is cool, right?
I don't know about cool, but it's awful cold. Whew.
Would you like something to stay warm, Polan?
No, I'll be all right. I'll be just fine.
Are you saying that because you're being prideful? I'm just gonna reach in. I probably have like one of those leftover like fur coats from when we were up by the necropolis. And I'm just going to just walk over and just with exasperated look on my face, just put it over his shoulders and like tuck it around him.
Appreciate that, little darling. It's coming right in handy for Cyanus. He's over there shivering. I'll go give it to him. He goes over and puts it around Cyanus.
Eyebrow. The eyebrows are just like...
I just shoot her the look of, just let this happen.
You're worse than Fenris, you know that?
All right. Anything else?
It's been a while since I've been up this high.
What?
I'll explain whenever we get into the city.
Also, at some point, if we in the morning, I guess, as we're traveling, in the morning, just kind of, or just immediately after, just Ida, I have too much adrenaline. Please, mate. I'm only going to say this. Fight me.
Fight you.
She's got like
No
the leftover,
problem.
like I have been flying in the sky with a dragon. This is amazing. I need something to get this out of my system.
Like 5 foot goes west on the violin.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what you Canadians call Fireful. I don't know.
No, I've just never seen that movie.
I forgot. You're like
He's
19.
young.
I forgot. Yeah, you know, kids. I'm gonna get a drink. I'll be back.
Why don't you guys both give me a athletics check? See who comes out ahead in the sparring match, just for fun.
$23.
Ooh.
15.
17 plus 6.
Dang, girl.
All right, you're on. How do you momentarily get the better of Ina?
Very momentary.
I'm gonna try and kick her front legs out from under her, and then sort of just wrestle her to the ground, and try not to hit her head on any rocks, because and just sort of go. So you beat me once, I beat you once. We'll have to have a tiebreaker at some point.
Agreed.
All right, are we ready to continue?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, rising early the next morning, you travel for another 3 to 4 hour leg, and as you are high at this elevated standpoint, you see the coast of the Cerulean Sea start to appear on the horizon. And not long after you see the coast and the dragons turn a little bit to angle more directly towards Mytros, you see clouds start to form and then get thicker and then get grayer. For a brief amount of time, the rain starts to fall down as you're flying through it. Although the winds themselves aren't very strong, the combination of the winds and the dragon's forward momentum through the sky makes the rain hitting you feel like hundreds of tiny needles against your skin, stinging and then fading. The dragons start to flap more furiously without making any additional headway. Another 30 minutes or so, and the dragons land down on the road. Tarkon, they put you down. You step down into the muck and the mud, water splashing, the wind howling around you. This is as far as we can fly! Stay close behind us! You glancing around, you can't see further than 20-30 feet in any direction. A combination of the rain and the wind and pieces of debris and trees flying all over the place.
Is it alright if we hang on to the dragons as we walk?
I wouldn't, but good luck. And you see...
Fucking answers that!
You see the dragons stand on the road, 3 abreast. They whip out their wings, rain flying up all around them, and the wind force coming from that direction suddenly stops most of the way. It's still whipping around and over, and you can see the rain on these wind veins coming down over the wings, underneath the wings, and they're culminating just behind you. But they're forming a little bit of a barrier so that they start trudging forward, their paws deep in the mud. And you make your way through the hurricane towards the city of Mytros. The sun barely breaking through here and there. Laborious, you trudge on. For another 20 to 30 minutes, you proceed down the road in this fashion. The road begins to rise up in an elevation, and through the dark horizon, you begin to see the faint outline of the massive city of Mytros. You come upon a pathway that the road cuts through the cliff on either side. The city itself may be 100, 150 feet away. The dragons walk through it, you follow behind them. You see these swirling black clouds looming over the city, the ones battering ships in the harbor off to the east. Banners on the precipice of the wall, tearing and flipping off and flying and hurriedly getting replaced by centurions upon the wall. The wind is howling in your ears, making it to the point where you can't even hear each other at this point. Each foot is a combination of yanking it out of the mud and your muscles burning from this horrible crawl through the road. Just when you think you're past the cliffs, the 3 dragons, Arcanum looks back, the dragons lift their wings, and they peel off to the left, following the city wall, and 3-4 seconds later they're gone in the darkness of the hurricane. Now the wind hits you full force, the rain once again pelting your skin. You feel as though it's drawing blood, stinging against your face. You see Folong has both of his arms up, the wind threatening to push you back with every step. You're about 50 feet away from the gate. The centurions, dark shadows on the top, waving you in. You see the gates slowly start to creak open. Just in the middle, on the other side, you see 10 centurions working these massive chains, trying to pull the gates open against the wind.
The royal gate, I take it?
The royal gate. As you see this gate open, your eyes go up to centurions waving you in, and then above them, you see in the massive, swirling red clouds, a red light appears. This red light, small at first, growing wider and wider, and in the center, a dark black sliver. It begins to take the shape of an eye, rapidly coalescing into this almost shapeless, storm cloud molded face. The same face you've seen on all the statues of Sidon you've seen thus far in your adventures. The face turns left and right, scouring at the city before eventually locking on to your position. The rain in your eyes, the wind beating against you, the gates now close to open. I need everybody to roll for initiative.
Lightning!
I told you all it was a trap.
Alright,
Oh,
So.
shit.
I promptly put my finger back down.
I was preparing to bow.
What? Bow.
Is
Go
it
ahead.
angry?
Bow. I dare you to bow in front of me.
Lycus,
I got a 13.
13. Ina,
I got a 12, and Folon got a 9.
9. Okay. Euron,
6.
6. Okay. Sinus,
18.
18. Alright. As he's staring down in your direction, you see white sparks. And several storm clouds coalesce into this massive fist shape. It thrusts a lightning bolt down in your direction. That would be Ina and Euron. I need both of you to give me dexterity saving throws as this white hot lightning slams into the ground directly at you.
7.
7.
11?
7 and an 11. Okay. 1 second.
How much is this gonna hurt?
A shocking amount.
Fuck off.
Never.
So, Lycus and Cyanus, you start trudging forward in the rain, full on, following closely behind you, and from behind you see this white flash of light, the deafening crack of lightning as it slams into Euron and Ina. Euron and Ina, you both take 25 points of lightning damage.
Fuck.
Ooh. Ouch.
Once you regain your senses, you see the scowling visage turn into a macabre grin, and more white light starts to sparkle and crackle. I need everybody to give me an athletics check.
Blew my good one on that fight.
Oh!
Ooh! Never mind. I did
I
not
got
blow it
that
on that fight.
Yeah.
All right, so Lycus.
21.
All right, Ina.
25.
25. Euron.
23.
23. Cyanus.
17.
17. Okay, so all three of you are able to summon enough strength to get out of this lightning volley, out of this hurricane, closer to the gate. You all get halfway there. Anybody roll initiative again. The two lowest of y'all heroes are the ones that get targeted. That's how this is working.
Fun. Oh, God.
It's an 18.
Rip
18.
me.
Okay.
That's a 20.
20.
I rolled an 18 as well, and full on
18?
got a 14.
Okay, he's not interested in full on. He's only interested
Okay.
in the heroes. But thank you for that. You're on?
Yep.
5. Okay, so you two need a tiebreaker. You can either re-roll or use your dexterity score. If y'all can't agree on one, I'll pick for you.
I mean,
I have a
I've got a +4 to Dex.
Yeah, I got a +2.
He's obviously gonna win that one.
Yeah, you're on. You're definitely going to get hit.
Oh, yeah.
Ina
I'm gonna
and
swap die and
Cyanus,
see if that will make it kinder.
yeah, I'll go ahead and re-roll. Give me another initiative roll.
Dex or
Rolled a
initiative?
5.
You're on. You're good. Well, you're not
I
good.
rolled
You're going to
a
get
10.
hit. Okay. All right. So that means that Ina is going to get hit again. So dexterity saving throws.
Can I rage?
Don't.
Like,
Oh,
we're rolling
yeah.
initiative, but we're not getting turns.
Yeah, it's is a
not a
special.
combat.
It's not combat. Now,
okay,
could you
so
rage?
I'm just gonna die. It's fine.
Could you rage? Sure, you can rage. You can rage whenever you want. That's fine. Also, you have the. Don't you have the thing where if you see something coming, you take reduced damage or something?
No, she has advantage on
No.
dexterity saving throws. For,
Yeah, I have advantage on
traps.
Dex.
This was a dexterity save for the first time, so re-roll that. See if you beat a 15. Because if you beat a 15, you take half damage. Okay. Well, this time roll with advantage. And yeah, you can rage if you want to. We can treat it kind of like a round. That's fine.
That is a 16 on my Dex.
All right. So you're going to be half damage.
Rolled a 19.
So you're going to be half damage.
It's advantage.
Okay, thank the gods.
Good. I rolled really good. I'm sorry. A second. That's 37 halves, so 18 more lightning damage. You slam back into the ground.
One more hit.
You're on Ina, getting really, really messed up, getting burned. The ground smoking all around you. The wind and rain instantly putting out small fires that pop up on the ground. Need one more athletics check from everybody. Hopefully, you all beat a 15.
Yes!
I'm feeling lucky on this roll.
Okay.
You said it was athletics. Why is it gotta be athletics? Why can't it
You're
be
trying
acrobatics?
Because you're trying to push your way through a hurricane, bro.
All right, that's a 19 on the lucky roll.
Okay. Ina.
If it's a 7 the first time.
24.
24. You're on.
Also 24.
24. Cyanus.
18.
18. Okay. You manage to push your way through the gates finally, and as you dart through the massive royal gate, they slowly start to close behind you. You look up in the open sky, and you see that same grinning face of Sidon, and it slowly starts to dissipate. The red scattering out into the clouds around you. The storm now howling around you in the largely empty streets of this huge metropolis Mytros. You barely see the vague outline of the massive shadowy form of Mount Vulcan presiding over the city. The streets stretch on far beyond your limited vision range, and suddenly 4 centurions come up behind you, and they shout in your ear, "Follow us! We're going to bring you to the palace!" Each grabbing one of your arms and scurrying you down alleyways. For 20 minutes, you slowly proceed through the city of Mytros, puddles rising up to your calves and knees at some point, water clearly getting into various residential and commercial buildings on either side of the stone-paved pathways, various alleys and main streets and cuts, and climbing over barrels in different places. You worm your way through the city of Mytros before you finally arrive at the palace itself, looming over you, high, slicked, completely characteristically dark and foreboding at this point. The doors swing open as the centurions push them, and the howling rain coats the marble floor and the brightly lit interior of the palace, and the massive entry hall echoing the storm outside before you hear a metallic boom as the doors slam shut behind you.
Euron sits on the floor. It's just like trying to get her breath back.
Yeah, it's nice to get out of that.
I'm dry. Like, y'all just look at me and I'm just like, oop. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. Just completely dry.
There's like
so nice your granddad to greet us at the gate.
Grandpappy apparently has some anger issues.
You're
There's like
about
a
to see some
Lichtenberg
anger
figure
issues.
partly on my face.
Yeah, I see you two just fucking smoking and charred, and I'm just like, I'll see if I can take a look at that a little later.
So,
I'll get back to my feet.
sitting in the much warmer and drier and quieter palace of Mytros, you see marble colonnades and beautiful tapestries depicting the city of Mytros in all its stages of glory. Relatively newer art of the Dragon Lords, old and new, flanking the hallways around you. Statues of the past kings and queens of Mytros flank the main hallway as the centurions help you back up onto your feet and give you a moment to recover yourselves, and then brusquely begin escorting you through the colonnades, through the hallways of the palace, into the royal hall itself, where the king awaits. In this massive hallway, you hear rain hammering loudly upon the palace roof, and as you enter the throne room, you hear thunder rolling ominously over the sky. Sitting before you, you see a well-built, middle-aged man in golden-trimmed armor, a long, pointed brown beard, short-cropped brown hair, with a head of laurels, and a red cape hanging down behind him, which those of you that are experienced with Mytros recognize as King Acastus. The throne itself is gilded, sitting on the opposite side of the room, and on the step below him, you see 4 other individuals. You see, off to his right, furthest away from him, a beautiful, ageless woman with dark, long hair, a fine white tunic extending down to her knees, adorned with rings and bracelets and a necklace and a similar laurel wreath upon her head. Next to her, you see a familiar figure. The black, short hair, somewhat unshaven, blue cape, imposing figure of Commander Gaius.
I'll punch him right in his fucking eye.
Off to the left-hand side, you see Vestigian. his horns curled back, his head uncovered, but otherwise wearing a black cape with a hood folded behind him, a silver chained ornament around his neck that even from this distance is clearly representative with the antlers of the Titan Lutheria. His dark blue skin and golden eyes glint in the firelight of this room. And then, nearest to him, furthest away from Acasis on the left side, sitting down, kind of lounging luxuriously, is a finely dressed young woman. She appears to be a noble with long reddish hair, bright blue eyes, relatively dark skin, and she is likewise adorned in jewelry, though not as ostentatiously as the lady to the right. Flanking the throne and standing throughout the room, you see centurions standing at attention, rigid, splendor, armor and shield, highly polished, attentively waiting.
Why do I feel like the mouse just walked into the cat trap?
I've got my
Kinda
great
just
axe
whisper-
out.
Yeah.
Euron's standing at attention, like almost an exact copy of the centurions around them.
Give me 1 second, I apologize, I lost my place in my notes.
And,
An idiot. Switch over
and
these
she will
notes.
bow. And nice at the waist, in half, and kind of clasped to her chest. Pretending like there's not smoke still coming off of her clothes.
As you bow and the rest of you take in this scene, the king, who formerly had his head slightly in his hand, glances up at your arrival. His face turns into a beaming smile. Here they are, the heroes of the Heartlands. Welcome, honored guests. You have come not a moment too soon. I am in desperate need of your counsel. As you may have noticed, our city is besieged by this evil weather. We have wasted several weeks discussing how best to placate the Lord of Storms, but my advisors before you cannot seem to agree upon anything. The Oracle's prophecy has angered Sidon, that much is clear. You are the ones who were foretold to confront the Titans and restore balance to Thylia. Therefore, I have decided that you must be the ones to decide how we resolve this crisis.
Yeah, sounds like you got some pretty shitty advisors. Lord, greet
Does he
me.
actually say it out loud? Does
No,
he
I'm saying it to
actually-
myself. I whispered it to myself. I was like, it sounds like you got some pretty shitty advisors. Lord Mytros.
Acastus. Acastus.
Yeah, I guess. Lord of Mytros. No. I see that. Yeah, I can't take my eyes off of. Well, one, the Stygian really gets my attention. Glorious' attention, just because he hasn't seen one, and probably ever. I don't know. We'll say maybe, but never this close. But yeah. Allow me to introduce ourselves, and I'll kind of hurry over to, or fan over to Euron.
Your Majesty? Majesties, I suppose. And I will look at I will look at the Queen as well and give her an extra nod.
She nods in return.
I have to ignore Gaia. Like, Euron's just like, she has to ignore Gaius or she's gonna scream. So.
Whoa.
We thank you for the invitation, although the crossing here was not particularly easy, I'm sure you can imagine.
I do imagine, and that's why I sent 3 of my best dragon lords to fetch you. I am happy to see you made it all, not much worse for wear.
Euron is still smoking.
Yeah, I was like, as she's slowly smoldering.
Yes, as your guards left us right before Sidon decided to attack.
They're mighty, but as mighty as they are, they could not stand much against the lightning. But we thank you for sending them, regardless. They made the crossing here much quicker and easier than it would have been otherwise.
Indeed.
So, my lord, please do tell us, what demands are there of the Titan?
We have received no direct demands from the Lord of Storms, Sidon himself. We have been going back and forth with various options, and we trust you to, well, I trust you to make the correct choice in these turbulent times.
Well, I mean, maybe he's just very unhappy with his mouthpiece, and you just need to sacrifice his mouthpiece, because there was a very, very disappointing turnout at the last place he visited. So, I would start there.
What options have you discussed, Your Majesty?
As Lycus is finishing and you're going to say that, Euron, you see Gaius lean over a bit. My lord, let me prove to you once and for all that these so-called heroes of the prophecy are not what they claim to be, by slaying the bard where he stands.
Come get you some.
Euron shifts slightly, so Lycus is behind her.
I just have the most flourishing smile ever. Nothing but wait. We must not spill blood in the in the presence of these wonderful ladies and the Lord himself, King Acosta. How do you say it again?
Acastus.
Acastus. I keep putting an O there. I'm sorry. Acastus. This is not the time or place, sir. Please remember where you are, in the presence of royalty.
Lycus.
Ma'am.
I'm shooting daggers at him.
I don't register them at all.
Lycus, please be quiet.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, you whatever.
What?
Commander Gaius, as much as I appreciate the Council of the Order of Sidon, and though you may be right, I would like to see what these heroes of the prophecy can come up with. Either they are as you say, and we will be no worse for wear, or you may be somewhat mistaken, and they could solve all the problems of the people of Mytros. I myself, I have heard that the powerful wizard Damon in the days of old was able to cast mighty spells that could alter the weather. And surely if these rumors I've heard about you are true, then you should be able to command such magics and wave this all away.
One unfortunate nature of that, Your Majesty. None of us can claim to be wizards. Lycus has some skill with magic, and we may have to see yet learn more of what Damon did, but I'm curious first, what options have you discussed to appease the Lord of Storms?
Well, that is my preferred option. The other ones I will allow my advisors to put forth themselves, so that I may not sully it with my own opinions.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
If you're unable to wield this type of magic, then... I suppose I was... I've heard stories of you slaying a great boar just after the oracle. No. It was before you met the oracle. That was what you did to prove yourselves to the oracle.
I'll pull out the boar tusk from my bag.
And yet, knowing his power, you chose not to sacrifice this boar to Sidon. And what good has come since then?
There's no telling that any good would have come, even if we had.
You are correct. There is not. Huh. Well, Gaius, since you were so forthright earlier, would you mind sharing your opinion with the heroes of the prophecy? You know good and well my opinion, King Acastus. It is the same opinion that I have been promoting for decades now. The Temple of the Five must be ground to dust where it stands. Lord Sidon clearly abhors the worship of these false gods. All gods, but especially these charlatans and all of their followers. You know yourself that some of the people here in Mytros have started to ponder the idea favorably. If you smash the temple, grind it to dust, spit on the name of the gods, here in Mytros, the bastion of mortal civilization itself, Lord Sidon shall be appeased.
What
That
is
is what I
Valis's
believe.
face doing?
She is betraying nothing. Her face is stone still. So, in short, destroy the temple, abandon your falsehood worshipping of the Five, and stop putting any more faith in these puppets of the Oracle. It will only bring you more ruin. Well, very well put, Commander Gaius. I appreciate your candor. Chondrus, would you like to explain your reasoning?
What did you say his name was? Okay.
Chondrus.
Chondrus. Thank you.
Chondrus. Yes, my lord. I believe that the only way to placate the Lord of Storms is to beseech the intervention of the Titan Lutheria, Queen of Dreams, his sister wife. We should seek her help in calming his fury and turning his eyes elsewhere. I believe that if we order the conscription of 70 children of the city to take the black robes and dedicate themselves to the cult of Lutheria here in Mytros, the Lady of Dreams will treat the children well. She will be placated by this and so reach out to her brother husband Sidon. And meanwhile, the children will eat the finest of foods and drink the sweetest of wines as Lutheria bestows upon all of her followers.
Have I ever seen this man around the Temple of Lutheria?
No, you have not. And, well, thank you, Chondrus. A wise suggestion. My queen, would you like to share your insight? No, I will hold mine until everyone else has spoken. All right. Bella, you had an idea. Well, you know, I don't know why the usual solution hasn't been tried. Normally, the priests of Sidon just sacrifice a bunch of animals to make Sidon happy. And if there's a big storm like this one, then that just means we need to sacrifice more animals, and we haven't sacrificed enough animals yet. Yes, my dear. A storm like this, we would have to perform a hecatomb, a sacrifice of 100 oxen, and that is hard to justify if we are not sure it will placate the Lord of Storms. I was hoping maybe you had a different opinion, but thank you for speaking. We do not have the the funds, you see, to purchase all the oxen for the sacrifice. Based on the recent selling prices, it would require about 10,000 in gold pieces to purchase 100 oxen. I suppose if that is a route you are willing to take and come up with the gold, we could attempt that. But if there's nothing else, Bella, my queen, I believe you are the last one standing, as you desired. Queen Valis strides forward confidently, almost ignoring everyone else in the room. King Akasa starts to speak out, and she just puts her hands up, and he whimpers contestation for her moving forward. As she approaches, she begins to simply radiate this sense of calm intellect and otherworldly beauty, striding across the marble floor. Heroes of the prophecy, I greet you. I am Valis of the Five Gods. For centuries, the people of Mytros have revered me as the goddess of wisdom. Mortal kings once traveled across the Cerulean Gulf seeking my counsel, but as you can see, my husband prefers to consult with fools and concubines. We gods are capable of saving the city. Joined together, the four of us can weave a spell to counter Sidon's magic, but such a miracle would sacrifice much of our power. I will do what must be done to protect my city, because it is my city, but the others would need to be persuaded. I am ready and willing to sacrifice, and I am ready and willing to contact the other gods so that you may attempt to persuade them, being the heroes of the prophecy that they have put all their faith thus far in. You are the oracles chosen, and they will heed your words. With that, she steps back a few paces, puts her hands folded down by her waist, awaiting your response.
You guys have been pondering this for weeks. Can we go somewhere and discuss this for a little bit?
What you request is fair. I have a room that you may all sit in quite comfortably. It's quite large. It's very well appointed. Please, just be hasty, if at all possible. I would hate to see the city suffer more than it already has. And he flicks his wrist, and two centurions come up from the side, near a hallway. They approach you, put their hand to their chest, drop it, turn, and face the hallway, apparently waiting for you to follow.
Follow.
Okay. And they lead you down a hallway. You walk for 7 or 8 minutes among snaking corridors, all amazingly well appointed, beautiful structure, into a, like you said, very large, spacious, comfortable room with luxurious linens and comfortable furniture, art. There's food set out, and they close the door behind you. You hear one set of footsteps proceed down the hallway back towards the throne room, and the other one seems to be there waiting. And I think that's where we're going to take a break. You find yourselves in the Palace of Mytros in a well-appointed guest room. Luxurious, fine, warm, comfortable, the sound of the storm still echoing throughout the cavernous halls of the palace. You are there with each other in full on. One of the centurions is outside the door, waiting on you. The door is shut, and you have been asked to make a decision to find a way to end the hurricane plaguing Mytros by King Acastus himself. So, the scene is yours.
Well, let's knock the ones we don't think are going to work off the table.
Huron's just gonna face plant if there's like a chaise lounge or anything like that. Just face first, just into it, and just go. And just like, I'm fine, just keep talking.
Definitely not sacrificing 20 kids to that cunt.
No,
70.
70.
Oh, was it 70?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. I
70.
just. No, definitely even worse. No.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
I mean,
Real quick.
Yep.
Real quick. Let me help you out. Just to make sure there's no misinterpretation here. Condrus recommended that 70 children take the black robes to join the cult of Lutheria.
right.
Okay. Now, if you want to interpret that as sacrificing into Lutheria, you interpret however you want. But publicly,
Giving them over.
publicly, the cult of Lutheria is known to take in children. They join the cult, and they're basically never seen again. But they're always assured that they are taken care of. They're going, spreading the word of Lutheria, holding festivals, etc.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the Mossy Temple and the dinner party.
Think what you want. I was just making sure you understood what I said.
I mean, that's what that's where Lycus is coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
seen Lutheria's generosity.
And I'm already just like I'm completely against anything supporting her.
I like the idea of a sacrifice, but I'm not sure where they could get 100 oxen right now.
I think we're gonna just look. It's gonna be the same thing as
Astoria.
Astoria.
Yeah, he was never sated by animal offerings.
No small wonder. This war, this burgeoning war, is fed on belief. That's what matters. Who believes and who doesn't. I don't like the idea of knocking down the temple of the five gods and trying to convince people. But
Well, do we have to convince people, or is it just do we have to actively take a role to denounce them, or just like, yeah, sure, go ahead, knock down a temple?
we have to knock down the. We have to. If I remember Gaius' words correctly, which I was trying to pretend he didn't exist, but I suppose we have to. Knock the temple down to the ground. Actively discourage people from worshipping the five gods and turn them towards Sidon and Lutheria.
Okay.
That was the three things he said. I'm not sure which of those he actually wanted us to do.
Right. So clarifying is, he wants. Gaius is arguing the temple should be destroyed. Everything else he was saying is basically additional fallout. You know, the king renouncing the five gods, etc. But the key piece there is finally destroying the temple of the five gods.
And the Castus is not like Cryos, or Pythor. Like, he's not a god.
No.
No.
He
Not
is.
one of them, but-
He is
No.
a man.
Those familiar with Mytros would know that he is a descendant of Estor Archelander.
Yeah, the dragon. Yeah.
He came to power when he always had some fame being one of the descendants. He gained a seat as king when he married Queen Valis,
Yep.
and he's very popular among the people.
Spitballing here. What if we got rid of 3 temples?
The Temple of Sidon, the Temple of Lutheria, and the Temple of the
Temple
Five
of
Gods. We'd have to convince the king to let us do that.
No, I know.
But it is an idea.
What about Lady Valis's? We've never actually asked Kira, Pythor, Vulcan, if they could come together and stop this. We've never actually asked. Do we have a method of communication with? I thought that somebody was given something.
I have a stone to talk to Vulcan.
And we
Well,
have
yeah.
prayers available to the
Well,
others. But
Yeah, if we have a direct link to Vulcan, we can maybe he can. I'm assuming he can contact his children.
Children?
So,
You want
This
to
may
give
have
him
been-
a ring?
But I'm
This may have been lost in translation, but Queen Vala said that she would help you communicate with them if that was the path you wanted to take.
Oh.
Unless you want to talk to them sidelining her, which I'm not sure what your intent is.
No, I didn't catch that part.
so
I mean, we could give Vulcan just a little chime,
Heads up.
just to like ask him a little bit, like, hey, what do you think about this?
Kira's already weak.
yeah. I want to speak to. I'm not sure if we have the option to, but I want to speak to Valis and find out more about what she means by exhausting the power of the gods. Because if that's going to straight out knock Kira flat, or
Yeah, and we don't know how strong Pythor is, too, just coming back.
Yeah.
Could we maybe send the Centurion that's at the door to go see if Queen Valis will come speak with us?
I think it's fair offer, at least, to at least speak with someone.
whoever's close to the door, do it. I can't get up.
I
Everything hurts.
I peek my head out and I'm like, hey, can you go grab her right quick?
Grab who?
We just want to talk to the queen. For a moment.
Queen Valis. Yeah. Certainly, just don't leave. I'm supposed to be watching you.
Yeah, of course.
I exit the room.
Go ahead. Let's see what happens.
I go to Gaius's room.
I would actually love it if you did that. Oh man. So
Euron's gonna maybe kind of pull out her last potion of healing and just crack it open and drink.
Oh, don't waste that. You might. Oh, never mind.
I got struck by lightning twice.
I can heal you tonight. You'll be alright.
Alright, then I'll hold it.
You'll be
Oh, you
fine.
already
You
drank
can,
it. No, by this point,
No,
you
I've
already
already drank it.
It's
Oh, you
like-
asshole. Okay.
you can sleep off a little singeing.
Yeah, and it's a way for me to like, no, you'll just long rest it tonight. You're good. They're like, no, I'll heal you tonight. Yeah.
She's
so,
just hoping it'll be the equivalent of like taking a Tylenol.
That's why. Where the hell does Etheria come into this? Like, it's literally Sidon outside. Sidon is outside, fucking with this kingdom, demanding that the five gods temple be destroyed. And then this guy from Etheria shows up. It's almost like a slap in the face, like one really bad choice or another really bad choice. But I feel like no matter which one, if we even chose those two, which we're not, if we chose one, I feel like the other would be like, oh no, you gotta do theirs as well.
the door
Like they're
opens
just gonna
and you see
renege on
Queen Valis walk in.
My lady.
Majesty?
You can shelf the formalities outside of the royal hall,
Oh, good,
although I
'cause-
appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I was a centurion, my lady. It's ingrained in my brain.
Very well. Thank you for serving Mytros in your time. Now,
All right.
I can be of assistance somehow.
What do you got here? You've been here the longest. You've been listening to this bullshit. You're. Where do you think your husband's really leaning here? Or is he truly just going to give it all up to us, and if we fail, it's on us, but if we succeed, clearly he's going to show he made the right choice? Is he really abstaining absolutely and doesn't believe that any choice is a good choice, or is he leaning more towards one or the other?
You are quite insightful, Lycus. My
It's a
husband,
curse.
My husband is a vainglorious man. He is popular because he knows how to be popular. He knows that any one of these decisions would infuriate a significant portion of Mytros, and so He has decided that a controversial decision is best made by someone other than himself. And so he seeks someone of repute, someone he can reasonably pass the decision off to save face and allow you all to take whatever fallout may rise.
No.
If I may ask, my lady, when you said that your option of bringing all the gods together and casting a spell that would dispel the hurricane, you said that it would use a great deal of power. What does that mean? We were just in Astoria with Pythor, who is recently returned from the dead, and Kira, who is looking far more tired than she should be.
Yes, I am aware of my sister's condition. I must choose my words carefully. There is a finite amount of power in each of us as the five gods. And in order to tap into such a wellspring of power as to combat the will of Sidon himself, we would use a significant portion of that power. My sister is exhausted, and this would exhaust her even more. However, if I am right, she would survive the ordeal.
But if you're wrong, my lady would never be seen again.
I'm never wrong, Lycus.
Oh.
The goddess of wisdom, my man.
Wisdom don't mean fucking right all the time. Sounds like she's the oracle. Well, let me ask you a question. In all honesty, what if, well, you said it would incite the people, either choice we make.
There are those who support the five gods still, and there are those who support the Titans now.
So, are they at equal odds? Or does
No.
one outnumber the other?
The five gods still enjoy the majority of worship and faith here in Mytros, which I imagine is why Sidon is targeting us. If we were to destroy the temple, then that would deal a serious blow to the support of the five gods and bolster the support to the Titans. And if we were to sacrifice our power and perform a miracle, giving up pieces of ourselves in order to counter him, that would likewise bolster support of the five gods and denigrate support of the Titans. But they all have costs.
So this would be a permanent loss for you.
Indeed it would.
Let me throw this one out for you right quick. What do you think would happen if all three of the temples just were destroyed?
I think if we moved against the Temple of Sidon, the hurricane would never end. Or would grow much more furious. Or he would sink all of the ships in the harbor. He has the upper hand here. And although you may wish to push that upper hand, it is a dangerous thing to do.
And this I ask of morbid curiosity, more less than actually choosing a side. Do you think Lutheria could actually intervene? Or would that be a very, very poor decision?
The Twin Titans have a very complicated relationship. If Chondrus believes that placating Lutheria will placate Sidon, then I believe it is most likely that Lutheria has spoken to him directly, as they are always looking for more acolytes. Though I have no significant reason to doubt his words as a viable option. That being said, I would rather kill Condrus than send 70 children with him.
I think we all agree with you
Yeah.
on that, my lady.
Yeah. So, you being one of the 5 gods, your recommendation is to gather all parties and attempt to counter the Titan himself.
I do. However, it would be wrong of me not to caution you against my own words, since I am obviously biased.
Fuck.
You alone must make this decision, or come up with some other decision that even I myself have not seen.
Oh, are we supposed to give the horn to you?
Yes.
Or her? Was it? Oh.
We thank you for your wisdom, but also we were asked, if possible, I'll reach into my bag. I'll pull out the horn of Valmetria.
Spill some in a cup as it passes along. One last go. Good stuff.
Aesop at the Temple of Valmetria in Astoria asked if we would entrust this to your safekeeping.
Very well.
Given
I
that
will take it.
it was stolen while it was in that temple.
Well, they have become brazen. I should not be surprised.
Demetria, unfortunately, had it. But
She always was
Fucking
wretched-
crazy.
a wretched dryad.
Yeah.
She takes it and places it down next to her.
We had one more thing we wanted to discuss with you. It's about Honora. So it seems like the magic isn't holding her in an as living state as she had been, and her feet and veins are starting to turn grayish. And Aesop has never seen this before. He said if anyone would know what is going on, it would be you.
Kira believed it was either that Lutheria's was actively focusing on her, which seemed unlikely, or it was just a sign that the Titan was getting stronger.
It would seem that the protective magic placed upon her body is being overwhelmed by the latent influence of Lutheria. If there is something keeping her body from decomposing, then that means her soul is restless. Lutheria cannot claim it entirely for herself. That also means that her spirit and her body are torn between the two planes. If that bond is weakening, that would explain the change. That also means that the exhaust you have noticed in Kira, our finite power, is also weakening, more so than I believed. Which means I apologize. I cannot say anything further, but I hope that answers your questions.
There's a very real chance we could lose you all, huh?
If not all of them, at least, Kira.
There's a very real chance that we could lose everything.
Well, I'm not here to empower him or her, and I don't want to lose you all. But I'd rather weaken all three of you, all three parties, if you will, or both sides, equally, than to strengthen one that weakens the other. So I guess we can at least attempt to... I vote we attempt to commune the gods together and push back against the Titan.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Looks like the ayes have it.
Sounds mighty good to me.
Man, you've been quiet this entire time, haven't you? Yeah, you're
Well,
fine. You were probably just taking a nap, right?
He's like, don't forget about me, y'all.
Important decisions. I didn't want to distract you all. I'll go back to minding my business. Well, you should deliver your verdict to King Acastus. Propriety cannot be overstated. I will await you in the throne room for you to do so. With that, she picks up the horn, walks towards the door, hands it to the Centurion, and they walk off down the hallway.
I might just take a moment and sit up on the lounge and clasp my hands. And all my might, hoping that I can keep this and just go, Mytros, my lady, are we making the right decision? Please.
Give me a religion check.
And Jesus be with me. 14?
You bow your head, close your eyes and pray, and then listen, feel for any response. You receive nothing.
Nothing this time. Are we ready?
Let's do it.
Ready as we'll ever be.
Yeah, I guess so.
Alright. You walk out of the hallway and retrace your steps back through the serpentine pathways to the throne room. You see the same accompaniment of people on the throne. They seem to be making small chat. Everybody except for Queen Valis, standing there, stoic as she was when you first entered upon arriving at the palace. You stride out into the center of the room. King Acastus stands up. So, heroes of the prophecy, what is it? What shall we do?
I think that the representatives of Lutheria and Sidon, and Cyanus, the representatives of Lutheria and Sidon should duel to the death to find out which god or which titan reigns supreme, and then we'll consider performing their request. Because clearly, whosever power is with them, and greater.
Euron's trying to clap her hand over Lycus's mouth, like the entire time he's been talking.
I bite her hand. Don't you dare.
I'm going to clock you out, I swear to God.
Acastus raises an eyebrow, and Queen Valis, you see her head kind of... And Bella startles back for a second, and you hear a... Gaius draws a spear out from behind his shoulder, looks at you, and sternly walks over towards Condrus. Condrus has his hands folded across his chest, glancing at you, glances over at Gaius. You see Gaius rapidly and smoothly thrust out with the spear directly into Condrus's chest, and Condrus, in a purple portal, disappears into nothing.
Lycus, what the fuck?
Well,
he's not dead.
Gaius just kind of looks back at you, puts the spear back in, walks back across the marble floor. King Acastus. Well,
someone has an itchy trigger finger.
I guess that settles that. I don't know if that was the...
No. look at everyone and before I talk. Just be like, are we going with what we agreed? Like us, bite your fucking tongue.
No.
And turn back around and go. It was a difficult decision, we will admit that. But as best as we can determine, and we are aware that not all parties will agree that our decision is correct, but we will still go with it.
Yes. What is your decision?
We agree that Queen Valis should call upon the other gods and speak to them about destroying the storm. And the Temple of the Five stay where it has stood.
My queen, it seems you have gained their ear. Let us hope it is not a mistake. Let it be done. He turns around with a flourish and sits back down on his throne. Queen Valis slowly walks up to you, and she reaches her hand out, palm up. You are making the right decision. Now, you know I have already agreed. However, we must persuade the other gods to do so as well. So, all of you take my hand, and each of you make your case, and hopefully the gods will be with you. Huron takes Valis' hand.
I'll take it as well.
I know.
Are we just making like a circle?
It's kind of like an all hands in thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're saying dinner prayer. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Or like go team.
Yeah, it's
I'm
more
imagining
like
more of a
like a
go
go
team.
team thing. Yeah.
Oh,
Kinda how it is.
we're doing a...
Yeah.
Oh. I thought we were like
Hand sandwich.
seancing.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
So the two satyrs put their hands in as well.
of course.
Queen Valis puts her other hand on top, and she closes her eyes and lifts her chin a little bit. And you hear her voice echoing throughout your head. My brothers and sisters, a great evil has befallen Mytros, as you are well aware. The heroes of the prophecy seek your aid. They will call out to you now. Listen to them and heed their words. And now, each of you, in turn, make your plea to the gods, however you deem fit.
Who's talking first?
I got it.
Not me.
Kira, my love. It's Lycus. I think this is one of our best chances to stab that cunt and that asshole right in the eyeballs.
Do we have to speak out loud? Do we have to speak out loud?
Shh! You're interrupting my prayer. And I know you're weakening. I don't know what they're doing to you, but I wonder and believe this may be our best chance to stop it and save you. And take away power from them. So, what do you say? Let's fuck them up. I love you.
Lycus, give me a persuasion check, please.
With advantage! Is it... Okay, maybe not. Persuasion?
Indeed.
That's an 18.
Okay. Who's next?
I'll talk to Pythor and remind him of the oath of service. And we wish to invoke it now to remember his purpose and his passion as a fighter. And this is one great battle he's not going to want to miss.
Okay. You don't need to make a persuasion check. You called the oath of service, so.
Okay.
Next.
Can I clarify something just real quick?
Sure.
Are we invoking Mytros in this as well, or is this the four gods who have a presence on the physical plane?
That one.
The four gods, got it. Okay.
You just turn your head and you're like, "Hey, Valis."
No.
You don't, you don't,
I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, y'all don't each have to target
Yeah.
a specific god.
Cyanus, go ahead.
I'm gonna call out to Vulcan and pretty much just give him the rundown of everything that we're trying to do, and that this could finally be his real chance to like stick it to Sidon.
Okay. Give me a persuasion check.
That's a 19.
Okay. You're on.
I'll speak to all of them. I'll say, I close in asking you that I know this is a great cost, and what we ask you to do is not easy. What we hope you do is not easy. But there is a city drowning. There, as Oz is before, and I ask for the people that you love and that you have cared for all of these years, for Thylea itself, for its future, for the purpose that we hope all will have. Please lend us your strength. Please help us.
Okay. Persuasion check, please.
I should have invoked the Titans. That would have given me better luck. 9.
All right. With your pleas and prayers complete, you snap out of the minor trance you didn't even realize you were in as Valis lifts her hand off of the stack of yours, and your hands instantly grow a little bit colder than they were a moment ago. She drops her chin, opens her eyes. Thank you. Your words were true and honest. Let's go see if they worked. And with that, she turns and begins walking out of the royal hall. King Acastus, you hear him get up and follow. Commander Gaius as well. Bella stays where she is. Follow her out of the palace of Mytros to the front doors. The centurion's there looking at her questioningly, and she nods her head. And 5 on each door slowly. The howling wind and the thunder and the lightning and the rain pouring into the front door, and you see this beautiful goddess walk out into the howling storm, her skin getting soaked, and the wind pushing her dress out in all different directions as though she's flying forward as she walks out into the heart of the hurricane outside the palace. You see her slowly come to a standstill and lift her arms up equal with her shoulders. She raises her chin, and you see the rain reflecting off of her head, splashing onto the ground around her. You hear nothing for a long moment, and then suddenly this silver jet of light streaks out from her chest into the sky, piercing the cloud above. Pulsing, emanating for several long seconds, and you see her legs shake a bit as she starts to grow weak. And then suddenly, from off in the distance in the northwest, a blue light streaks to meet hers, and they combine into a silvery blue funnel, piercing the clouds above, and then a golden light, and then finally a red light, swirling into a rainbow of light, smashing up into the clouds, and they begin to separate and pulse, and the clouds grow back in, and then push back even further, fighting forces converging, magics of the heavens howling over the city of Mytros. Or finally, after what seems like an eternity, The magic surges in on itself and then expands out rapidly, decimating all clouds and storms throughout the entire area. And the sky goes very, very still and very clear, slowly fading from a dark gray to a light blue. Clouds begin to condense and form white. And the faintest of bird chirps you hear in the distance as all these birds that have been hidden among the rooftops of Mytros finally start to come out into the sunlight.
Vala starts looking like she's gonna fall. Your arms are like right behind her, ready to catch her.
As the storm clears, Vala slowly drops her arms. She seems steady, and she stares ahead for several long seconds before turning back to you, her dress completely soaked, her hair matted against her face and her shoulders, and she approaches you. Thank you. Thank you for helping me save my city. I believe the Oracle was right about you. And now, hopefully you will remember that when harder trials are faced ahead. I must rest. She walks past you, and you turn your gaze following her as she makes her way, her dress sloshing around and making a long wet streak on the floor as she goes down the hallway. As she passes the entourage of Gaius and King Acastus, you see a contempting scowl on Gaius's face, his eyebrows furrowed, his chin slightly down, his lips frowning a bit. He stares at you for several long seconds before walking in your direction and then shouldering his way through your group out into the streets of Mytros. Behind him, King Acastus, you see a gentle smile. He takes you in for a moment, looks back over his shoulder, turns back to you. Excellent work. I knew I could trust you to handle this matter. Now, let's see about your reward. He strides up to you and pulls a rolled parchment out of the belt from behind his cloak and hands it to you. I know of the prophecy as well as any. This map will lead you to the last known whereabouts of the Ultros, the legendary vessel of Estor Arcalander, my ancestor's ship, fiercest of the Dragon Lords. There was a time when I thought I may claim it for myself, but I have no need of it now, and I understand you need to sail the seas to complete your prophecy. You should know, however, that I am rebuilding the ancient order of the Dragon Lords, and in time I will have a legion of dragon-mounted warriors under my command. Then we will have no more need of prophecies and heroes and oracles. We shall drive back the Titans with the power of my dragons, just as my forefathers did. But I digress. In any case, this map will allow you to resume your so-called great labors. I thank you for the service you have done my city. Now, you are dismissed. He steps back after handing you the parchment and turns and walks back into the palace.
So we're supposed to figure out where the inn is, where we can get a room, like...
Well,
I'm
Ina, welcome to Mytros. We've got everything here.
The good news
Oh
is
yeah, I
that
forget
all
y'all
of-
are from here.
We're all from here, yes. Would you like a tour, Ina? It is not quite as pretty as it used as normally the streets are quite clean, but
I think they're pretty clean and soggy.
the soggy, yes, but
Glancing around
Yes.
slowly, you begin to see citizens emerging from their homes, the water pouring off of the roofs and overhangs coming to a rest into large puddles on the ground. And before long, as you begin your journey, either into Mytros or standing there watching, the usual bustle of everyday life begins to resume around you.
Do we want nice, comfortable area or cheaper area and interesting company? Because we can go for closer to the harbor or Stygian Row or anywhere.
I kind of don't want to be anywhere near Stygian Row right now. At
I
least not
second
yet.
that.
Eventually I want to go there simply because when things got a little more settled, because that's where the market is, and I still want to go look for Bulbug, wherever he is. The slave market, for context. I know.
Oh. Let's secure a room first, and then we can explore. What time of day is it right now?
Like
It
midday?
would be, yeah, it would be early afternoon.
I feel like they could have resolved this without us. Like, if that's all it took, like, I feel like, well, why did they need us, you know?
Every so
Same.
often, everyone just needs a little bit of push.
We were the version of the game, the royal game, that they needed in order for the decision to be made. So,
And it looks
let's
like
go find a
Sidon
room.
lost 3-0. 4-0. 4-0. Oh. Yeah, whatever. I had a good analogy. I lost it.
It's been a day.
Yeah.
Maybe a drink at the end will bring it back to your mind.
Yeah, something like that.
There's this tavern by the water, the Satyr's Tail. If we need a good drink.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
It is near the end of Stygian Row, I will admit. But they do this mix that I still don't know what it is. I had one on my birthday, and I don't remember the next 2 days.
Sounds like a party, am I right, Lycus?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a great time.
You're alright.
Yeah. I'm good. It's good to be home. Yeah. He kind of just like fading away, yeah, I'm good. Just thinking. And he's actually looking out in the direction at which Astoria is. And where the light came from on that side, kind of thing.
Aw, are you worried about Kira?
No. No.
I believe we still have a
fine.
sacrifice in her name saved up if you wish to call on her and check if she is well.
I think I'll let her rest. You know, I'm sure that's taxing, but I do think maybe we can give her a little something. But yeah, we're fine. We're good.
I'll put a hand on his shoulder and give it a squeeze.
Whoop. Keeps a smile.
Come on. I'll lead the way through the streets.
Alright. 1 second to pull up a map of Mytros for all of you.
Please, the one I have saved on my computer is so fuzzy.
No, that's fine. Give me 1 second because Fantasy Grounds is hanging up a little bit. Where we at? There we go. Close that. We pulled up the DM map, all big stuff. Okay, Fantasy Grounds is definitely not acting right. Okay, so I'm gonna get that going when I can. You make your way, now that the storm has cleared, you see from the palace the sprawling expanse of Mytros around you, stretching for what seems like miles in every direction. Mount Vulcan casting a shadow over the lowlands just north of the city, you see the expansive harbor stretching out before you. I'm sorry, Francis, Brandon's got me messed up right now. Satyr's Tail is, as Euron said, in Stygian, bro. Walking for 30 to 45 minutes through the increasingly growing crowd, you see people going about their business, but some also recognize you and call out to you, patting you on the shoulder, shaking your hand, kind of guiding your way through the city. When you finally make your way down to the Satyr's Tail, you see a wooden structure, not exactly nice, but relatively well constructed. There's a sign hanging down with 2 chains, and it's literally just the tail of a satyr, highly stylized. The windows are a bit dirty, and a shingled roof, and a raucous noise coming from inside. As the door swings open, you see the interior of this crowded tavern is thick with smoke and various unpleasant smells. Many of the patrons appear to be half-orcs and sailors and general roughshod types, but it seems positive enough. It's difficult to see any way walking through the tavern without tripping over the people that are filtering around inside after their long weeks spent pent up either on ships or in nearby buildings.
I'm just going to kind of look at the other members of my party. I have no idea what to do in this kind of setting.
Euron's elbows are out. And she sort of moves her way through the crowd, just like trying to elbow people gently, and she's like, "Move, goddamn you! I want a drink!" And up to the counter, as it probably takes a bit, but she will make her way over and buy a round of whatever is on special at the moment.
But you make your way up to the counter and you notice a Stygian there. He's obviously a barkeep. He has a leather apron, a white tufted shirt. His hair is kind of curled back in braids that comes down on the side, on either side of his horns. Alright, what'll it be?
A round of whatever you've on special. 5 cups, please.
5 cups. We have some olive wine, and we have we have some fire water, and of course honey mead.
How about some of the olive wine and maybe a couple shots? And a few.
I put my hand to her mouth.
I lick it.
That is amazing, and I keep it right there. How about your top shelf?
My top shelf? You want some top shelf honey mead or some top shelf olive wine?
You know what I mean. You know what I mean, right? Like
No,
not your basic stuff, but some of your top stuff.
Like the stuff that you keep for very, very special occasions.
Yeah, that stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I was confused. We usually don't have people asking for the top shelf stuff around here. So, did you want top shelf olive wine or top shelf honey mead?
Then I will repeat myself, hand off my mouth. Olive wine, 5 cups, and a few shots of fire water.
I mean, is it different than the swill he serves everywhere else? Maybe it is a top shelf.
Alright, so I got 5 cups of olive wine and 5 shots of fire water.
Yeah.
Cyanus,
Alright.
do you think he doesn't actually have top shelf?
Let's see. That'll be...
Dude, it's been a while since I've been here. Just let's roll with it.
That's 5 plus 5. That's 50 silver.
Cyanus, you have missed the coin.
Yeah, I got it. And then I also throw in like another 5 silver just as like a tip.
Oh, that's very much appreciated. Thank you, sir. He pours out the cups. He reaches up to the top shelf of the bar and gets some bottles that have obviously been open already. You can't really tell if it's different or not. Like the bottles that house them are a different shade of color, and everything else is exactly the same.
Probably his bottom shelf. He just keeps it up there so no, he doesn't accidentally grab it.
Exactly.
That P I put on the map blends in really well. I'm gonna try and find something else. So, you are at the Seder Tail in Mytros. What would you like to do?
Are there
Ours.
any... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask if there was a table.
There are tables in this establishment, yes. However, you see nowhere to sit down because they're at the point where there are people sitting on tables, standing on tables. It's basically elbow to elbow in here.
Yeah.
Street side. I'll take a cup and a shot and go back up the door. Find a spot on the curb.
You got it. Easy enough. So you'll exit the tavern. Okay.
This entire time, I'm just like kind of keeping my head down.
Hey, Cyanus, what name do you go by here?
I mean, they. All right, so remember that thing I told you the other night?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how most people might know me.
Okay, so nobody knows Cyanus.
Yeah, but I mean, I still look like him.
You didn't put a disguise on when you changed your name?
I mean, it's kind of hard to.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, with these fantastic physiques, you can't really get much better. I know. High five. Okay, well, we'll just keep an eye out. But how's that firewater?
Still as awful as I remember, but oh, whew, whew.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I hit it back, and it's like, you know, it's all right. Yeah. And then immediately start hacking. It catches you up.
Yes, it does.
I down it and I'm just looking at the cup like, yep, I remember this shit.
Bless you. Out of curiosity, I'm gonna look by like if I'm sitting sort of under the window, I'll look up and there's a spot where maybe that when she was very drunk, she basically did the heart, you know, the heart with the initials in the middle. She'll look up under the windowsill to see if it's still there.
Roll an investigation check.
Uh, 14. So it would be EK and LT.
14. It takes you a moment, but you see that behind a thick layer of grime that has formed over the wood, the initials are still present there. They are eroded away some, but they are present.
She almost starts crying with relief. And just touches it fondly and sits back up. Not all of me is gone, I will take that. Ina, how are you doing with it?
I'm soaking in the vibes. This is by far the biggest city I've ever been in, and your customs are strange to me. This inn is very different from the one in Astoria.
Welcome to Stygian Row, Ina.
Yeah, I'm just
It's-
like taking it all in.
It's better if you compartmentalize it. Like, hey, what if Astoria was like this, except way more?
And every
Taking this
city
all-
has the slightly poorer quarters and the richer quarters. This is the slightly poorer. And also the sailor's side.
So now that you're kind of standing outside looking around, you see Ines, especially the you three are already familiar. This low-lying district is starkly different than the rest of the city, everywhere that you travel through to get here. It's streets, now that the water is starting to subside, this wretched stench starts to come up from the sewers below. Everything seems clogged and kind of jammed together, filthy and poorly maintained relative to everywhere else in the metropolis above. Periodically, ruffians and vagrants are shouting threatening words at each other from the street to windows, and even as they pass by you inebriatedly, kind of stumbling, threatening you to get out of their way. There's signs of drunkenness and violence, and even a fair share of open debauchery and adult things passing all around you at all times.
Interesting.
Don't go down that alley. Just word of advice, don't go down that alley.
Noted.
Is that the one where everyone is openly...
No.
Or is that the one that you're going to get knifed? It's the other one. Got it.
No. Sometimes it's both. Sometimes it's both.
Of course, right. I missed
I call
home.
this civilization.
Hey, y'all want to get a pheasant?
Why the hell not?
I could eat.
He's back over by closer to the... Is he closer to the academy?
Yeah, of course. Where else would you
Right.
put a pheasant merchant?
Of course.
Intellectuals eat pheasant.
You want to see where he spent most of his time?
Absolutely.
Sure.
You know you do.
Okay, so
So
we're headed to the... Go ahead, sorry.
We're going to be heading towards the Academy Row. The intellectual section of the city.
The academy is in the Temple District.
The Temple District. Okay.
That area, like right above.
And I will try to find
Right.
Mytros, which is the merchant's name for the pheasants. I ate there many a days. Albacore. Albatross. I don't remember what I named her from earlier on. Whatever the bird is.
Albatross.
Albatross.
I was going to let you run with it.
Albatross. That's it.
Okay, whatever you say it is, buddy. So,
I'm going to show them my old stomping grounds.
traveling through Stygian up towards the Temple District, you see the Temple of Sidon and the Temple of the Five. The Theater of the Gods stretches out, and the Great Palace where you were before is a little bit off in the distance. Wandering around the Temple District in the direction of the Academy, you remember vaguely that the pheasant merchant, the pheasant merchant had a stall that you frequented here that catered to the more wealthy customers up here in the highest of highs of Mytros. However, it seems that with the storm, his stall is not present. You do remember vaguely recalling that he had a more permanent shop set up in the Noble District, if you would like to go there. However, you are also very nearby the Academy. I heard you all talking about wanting to visit there if you like, so that is there as well.
Absolutely. But I guess with the storms, it makes sense he wouldn't be able to frequent this area. I'm sure many people were not coming out. Euron, have you ever seen a real library?
My wife used to go here.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't know if you ever
My wife,
visited.
my friend, my good friend went here. Yes.
Yes, I don't. Well, of course. Then come. Let's go visit the academy.
Hopefully we've had time to dry off at this point, because otherwise I do not want to track this in.
Oh no, I got you. She's dry.
You are
They've been
dry.
stomping around in soggy pants and all day, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. There you go.
I'll lift and check like how much of like You know when your feet have been sitting in like soggy socks and boots like all day. She's checking if her legs are like that.
You are pruny, though. I can't unprune you.
Yeah, no, I'm so fucking pretty.
I need somebody to roll me a d20, please.
1, 2, 3, not it.
I'll do it.
Well, I rolled a nat 20, so...
Oh god, okay, never mind.
Maybe how many bad people attacked us.
You see...
Oh no, the Academy people!
As you approach the academy, you hear the sound of wings, feathered wings, large feathered wings, approaching from behind you. Glancing over your shoulder, you see a winged siren messenger in relatively tight-fitting clothing with a little bit of leather accessories on her body and a satchel slung over her back, gliding overhead, just in front of you and landing nearby, next to an old lady. She takes a piece of parchment out of her satchel and hands it to the old lady, who immediately opens it up and devours its contents with her eyes, glancing up at the siren and back down at her hands. The siren giggles a little bit and then takes off, and you see the old lady break down into tears and scurry into her nearby home and slam the door shut.
I
Meanwhile,
immediately call out side quest and run that way.
don't assume things, Josh.
I'm just having fun with you.
I know. Meanwhile, a group of satyr bards approaches from a side street. You see them notice you, and they begin to sing a song that calls to each of you in your name. Great exploits of the heroes of the prophecy. Their great deeds will save us all. They will smash the titans upon the rocks and lift the 5 gods to the heavens above. Except as the song progresses, it has a subtle transition from glorifying to mocking. And they smile gleefully as they pass the street behind you, chuckling in between lines. Meanwhile, the people around you go from clapping along to some of them laughing harder and some of them getting consternated looks on their faces at this change in tone.
It seems like I'm gonna have to have a talk with the local bard guild.
And maybe start writing some, see if you can get some more of that lovely poetry of yours flowing, like you did in Astoria. That face looks like claws in your leg.
No.
Shall we inside?
Yeah. Wonder what was up with that old lady. That siren was smirking.
Oh,
Curious.
we didn't get to talk to Terran much about what sirens are like, but wasn't there something about sirens? Oh god, actually, you know, can I nature check and see if I remember any details about sirens and their moods and flying?
Sure, why not?
See if I remember. Come on, dice, be kind. That was the 17. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, beautiful little thing.
You know that the mood of sirens can affect whether or not they have the ability to fly. When they're in a pleasant mood, they have the ability to fly, and when they're in a sorrowful mood, they seem overcome with the urge to sing depressing songs that have an enchanting influence on those around them.
Sirens need to be happy so they can fly. That's probably why she was laughing. I think I have seen some sirens being used as messengers, but we can always ask.
How out of place would that be? Would that be something that I'd obviously be like, that's weird, or that I recall? Or is that like, that's normal?
All sorts of random crazy things happen in Mytros all the time.
Gotcha. Yeah. Try not to meta it, you know?
Mytros, the New York City of this world.
Very much so.
Okay.
You would be hard pressed to find anything shocking traveling amongst the streets of Mytros. Everything is commonplace because everything happens. It's such a conglomeration of all the various different types of people and the races of Thylea. Cultures clash and congeal. Crazy events happen every day on the streets. It's totally ramshackle. Truly cosmopolitan. So, continuing on to the academy. Okay.
Absolutely.
As you approach, you see the sprawling campus grounds of the academy bustling with new activity. Over a dozen impressive marble buildings stand in rows, connected by paved, well-maintained pathways. You see rich green lawns, wet and stretching between the pathways, and scholars enjoying the new sun, walking around, reading, writing, and even in many cases hotly debating all different manner of subjects. I need somebody to roll me a d12, please.
I rolled the last one. Someone else can take it.
I got it. 6.
6. As you pass by one group of scholars talking or debating, speaking in angry hushed tones, you hear, "I can't believe the great chimera of the Cerulean Gulf took a dozen victims aboard a merchant ship that was just one day's journey from Mytros. The waters are churning. It bodes ill. Oh, those are just stories you hear from sailors coming in from all over the place. Don't put too much stock in those things or you'll be just as much a fool as them." Lycus, you especially, and you as well, to a certain degree, Euron. Not so much you, Cyanus. You know the academy is spread out through more than a dozen different buildings, and this is highly regarded, at least internally, as one of the greatest centers of learning, not just in Thylea, but most likely in all of the world and any other undiscovered lands across the borders. It's a reputation well earned and is generally agreed upon by the civilized peoples. You know that within the academy there is the Great Library. It contains scrolls detailing knowledge on basically anything you can find in Thylea, naturally, as well as metallurgy, alchemy, medicine. If you could think of it, and if there is anything written about it, it will be there. There's a Hall of Heroes devoted to recording the heroic exploits of Thylea's heroes throughout the ages. You can see carved statues and busts and paintings of all of Thylea's heroes, as well as scrolls detailing their histories and songs. There is a School of the Arcane, consisting of 8 buildings devoted to the 8 studies of schools of magic. Each is headed by an arcane master. The Great Orrery is a building that contains a replica of the many different planes of existence and where they intersect and what they are for. It's represented as celestial spheres fashioned from bronze clockwork that's in perpetual motion by some unknown mechanism. And then, finally, there is the Hall of Debate. It's a forum where any philosophy can be discussed without repercussions, even into veers of the theological and subjective. Some of the greatest minds in Thylea can be found debating philosophy there. It is common of those seeking to establish a reputation to engage in debates with the greatest mind, because the greatest minds in Thylea are representative of the highest class. The academy is well protected, and if anyone is ever foolish enough to cause trouble here, they will quickly be dealt with by the local guards.
So yeah, I showed them the academy. I explained the different buildings and where I was and some areas of interest I found most fascinating. The debate hall, where some very, very fierce back and forth occurred, but for the most part, always ended in respectful disagreements and acknowledgments of newfound focus points and the promises to investigate deeper and overall, to broaden one's knowledge, whether they believed it or not, it was still knowledge to be shared. It's quite fascinating.
Okay. As you're walking past the Great Debate Hall, the Hall of Debate, you feel a thick, meaty finger tap your shoulder as you're talking to your compatriots.
I know that finger.
You turn your head, and at first you see a light green finger, thick, with a kind of curved nail. As you turn further, you see a tall, heavy-set half-orc dressed in traditional mage accoutrement with a thick, silvery beard that's braided into three coming down, a bald head, and thick, bushy eyebrows. One eye is partially squinted.
Thickness!
I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry. Thought you were someone else.
You must be the heroes of the prophecy, the saviors of Thylea.
Some would call us.
Yes, they would. In fact, I just called you that. I am known as Machaon. I am one of the masters here at the Hall of Debate, and my compatriots and I we noticed you walking by and figured that we would like to test your mettle and see if the wits of the saviors of Thylea are as good as they're supposed to be. We would like to engage you in a philosophical debate, and if you can sufficiently placate us, if you prove yourselves thoughtful and considerate and of high regard and high intellect, we will reward you for your trouble. And if not, then we will learn much more about you by your failure to do so. May we interest you in such a debate?
I will look at Lycus and Cyanus, aka the wittiest ones in the party.
I mean, I'm always up for a competition.
I'm considerate, but I'm not exactly thoughtful, so...
I mean, Lycus, these are your people.
I've never heard of this guy. Is he a student or is he a teacher?
No, he is one of the greatest philosophers at the Academy.
Oh, well, fuck yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna put my medal to the best. That's who you put your medal against. I would be honored to debate one of such stature and renown.
Quite pleasant to hear. If you would join me to the center stage of the Hall of Debate, where you can meet my my compatriots, and I will introduce you all, and then we can ask you the questions we would like to, and then you give us your response. It really is that simple. We don't like to overcomplicate things. We don't have that much. Let's walk with me, please. So you make your way into.
Yeah.
Okay, you make your way into the Hall of Debate. You see rows and rows and rows of benches, carved fine wood, with silver gilding on the sides. There's all sorts of busts and friezes of people that are almost irrecognizable to most of you, if not all of you, because they represent the great thinkers and philosophers that have come before them in the centuries preceding this. The center stage is raised up on a marble pediment, and in front there are two chairs sitting catty-corner to each other, and then there is a podium in the middle for some type of an announcer. And when you first approached the hall, you saw two people up there debating each other on some such topic, and there is a crowd of people there sitting and watching. They have since left the stage, and Machaon is walking to the front, and you see three other individuals coming from the left side of the room, mirroring your forward progress. Among them, you see a slender, dark-skinned elf, very pointy ears, almost elongated, with a top knot that comes down and stretches down to just above his knees. He's wearing blue robes with various bronze and gold jewelries. You see a relatively short, gnomish priest wearing white robes with the the glorious symbol of Mytros emblazoned upon his chest. He is shuffling with his head down. He has kind of a tonsure on top of his head with the center shaved out and silver and black hair, salt and pepper reamed around it. And then finally you see a Stygian. The Stygian is donning leather robes, for lack of a better term, almost as though a long leather apron. He also has a sword at his side. His hair is purple and it splits in two and comes down the front of his chest down to his navel. He has long eyebrows that come to a point on either end and red eyes, and he walks forward chest high, chin out. As Machaon leads you to your side of the stage, he introduces each of you, and then he introduces his compatriots. This is Chalcadon, the glorious elf, by my side. And then, just adjacent to him, there is Keratitos, the priest of Mytros. And then, last but certainly not least, we have our glorious Stygian friend, Atreus. And amongst us, you will be tested by 4 different ways of thinking, 4 questions, and just answer to the best of your ability, and we will see what type of emotions or intellect you elicit from everybody. So, I will represent this side of the stage first. Who would like to represent your side? Lycus, very well.
I hold my hand out. Yep.
Lycus. Well, please sit down, and we will have Chalcadon make sure that everybody remains quiet and respectful, as is the norm, even though sometimes they get rowdy.
Expected.
So, standing at the podium, you see Machaon turns back to the crowd and raises his voice. Now, Lycus, please listen carefully if you may. It is difficult for me to repeat myself.
I'm sorry?
I said, please listen carefully.
He's being... Continue,
Yeah,
sir.
He knows. Oh. I thought you were telling Joey that. I was like, yeah.
No.
No. I give you like a death glare, like I'm on the podium.
Very well.
Eyebrow.
So, the famed ship that brought the Dragon Lord Adonis Nurdagon from the old lands to the lands of Thylia was the Valorous. The Valorous had 60 oars, a single mast, and a great prow. Over the centuries, it has decayed, and the Nurdagon family removed the old oars and planks, replacing it with newer and stronger timber. They replaced the mast when it was cracked in a storm, and they replaced the prow when the ship ran aground. After 5 centuries, every single piece of the Valorous has thus been replaced. So, Lycus, is the Valorous now the same ship that once carried Adonis Nurdagon, or is she a different vessel? He steps back and politely sits down in his chair and puts his hand, straightens his robes, and looks at you.
I would say that the
podium, please, so everyone can hear you, Lycus. Very good.
Oh,
thank you.
You delayed there for a second. I was like, wait, what? So, do we define ourselves purely upon the pieces that make us up, or the achievements of which we have accomplished? I would say that the Valorous is still the Valorous, regardless of the changes brought upon it through time. Just as pieces and parts of me heal and replace themselves as I grow older, I am still the same Lycus. Even though pieces and parts of the Valorous have been replaced, it is still the same Valorous, for it carried those from far away to this land of our own, and we continue to respect it We continue to honor it. That's my cat jumping at my blinds, trying to pull the pull string. I apologize.
You're okay.
And yes, I do believe it is the same Valorous, regardless of how many parts and pieces you continue to replace. As long as you stay true to its build and respect the ship in its original form, it is the same Valorous.
Yes, I understand your stance on the matter. Thank you for participating. And you see several members of the crowd quietly lift their right hand and place it against their right cheek. And then several other members pick up their left hand and place it against their left cheek. It's hard to discern the intent of this, except maybe agree or disagree, or some other such function to quietly show support without taking away from the stage. Mikhail gets back up. Oh, well, again, thank you, Lycus. Now it will be the turn of Chalcedon, and who of your group would like to participate next?
I will.
Oh, very, very good. You're on the good with the shield and the fighting. Okay, Chalcedon. You see the elf kind of glides up by the podium, passing Mikhail, and Mikhail goes back and stands amongst the rest of the group. Thank you for engaging with me in the philosophies of today. Yura. Pythor is in a foot race with a tortoise. Pythor allows the tortoise a head start of 300 feet. If we suppose that each racer starts running at some constant speed, one very fast and the other very slow, then after some finite time, Pythor will have run 300 feet, bringing him to the tortoise's starting point. During this time, the tortoise has run a much shorter distance of only 30 feet. It will then take Pythor some further time to catch up to those additional 30 feet, by which time the tortoise will have moved even farther ahead. It takes more time for Pythor to reach the third point, while the tortoise continues to maintain his lead. So, thus, whenever Pythor arrives somewhere the tortoise has been, he still has some distance to go before he can catch the tortoise, despite running much faster. Clearly, this means that Pythor will never catch the tortoise. So how do you explain this paradox? He bows his head and politely goes to sit down quietly in the seat, beckoning for you to take the podium.
Euron's face is just like, it looks like she's been hit in the face with like a hammer. Sorry, this is Arya having just lost all train of thought.
That's okay, that could happen on the stage too, so you're still role-playing.
Then Yarn will stand, sort of stand or whatever is necessary, take a moment, gather herself, try and think it through, and her response is, there are a great many paradoxes that exist in nature all the time, so I would agree to that, but we would discuss the difference between a burst versus a steady, continuous speed. And because one can run faster, one may run faster, but another can still go farther. In the slow and steady wins the race, as it were. I admit, quite simply, I do not have the best answer for this, other than to say that it is one of the many things in this world that we still have yet to explore and explain, and that such great minds here can push forward on. I'm not quite as eloquent as my friend, forgive me. And she'll kind of bow and step back.
Chalcedon stands up. Thank you for your participation, Euron. All right. Well, I appreciate the validity of your points. And now,
I appreciate that you are being so gentle with my absolute lack of philosophy.
nonsense. I thought it was quite riveting, all of it. So now I will be followed by Herodotus, the priest of Mytros. And who of you all would like to take the next turn?
Cyanus.
Yep.
Cyanus, very good. All right, Herodotus, please. Cyanus, please. And Chalcodon steps back. You see the gnomish priest keeping his head bowed, walks up to the podium, and then from the side he pulls out this little wooden stool he steps up on so you can see above the podium.
Cyanus, thank you for engaging in this philosophical discussion with me. Mytros, bless us all. A sphinx captures the young crown prince of Mytros. His mother comes to the sphinx and pleads for the return of her son. The sphinx replies that he will only return the prince safely if the mother can guess correctly whether or not he will indeed return the boy. What is the problem here? Well, as it turns out, there is no problem if the mother guesses that the sphinx will return him. If she is right, the boy is returned. If she is wrong, the sphinx keeps him. However, if she answers that the sphinx will not return him, we end up with a paradox. If she is right, and the sphinx never intended to return her child, then the sphinx has to return him. But in doing so, he breaks his word and contradicts the mother's answer. On the other hand, if she is wrong, and the sphinx actually did intend to return the boy, then the sphinx must keep him even though he did not intend to do so, thereby also breaking his word. Cyanus, how do you explain this?
And he steps down off the stool and walks back over and sits down quietly. His head bowed, but he's clearly listening.
I slowly get up from my chair. I'm just like gripping the bridge of my nose, just like pacing back and forth, trying to decide how to answer this.
Euron in the distance is just like in her, not out loud, she's just like, I feel you, bro. I feel you.
Like, I can't put the words to it. I can't put the fucking words to it.
In chat.
No, I know. Oh, man. So basically... Basically, either A, she says that the Sphinx will give her back. He might not. She says that he won't give him back. He may. Or he may say he won't give him back, but ends up still not giving him back. Basically what I'm saying is never take anyone by their word.
You see, Herodotus gets up. Truer words have never been spoken by those in this present company. Thank you, Cyanus.
Well, last but certainly not least, our Stygian friend, Atreus. And I am assuming that the final member of your party would like to participate in the discussion with him. Is that correct?
Sure.
Very good. Very, very good. Mytros bless us all.
And you see him step down, and then the Stygian comes up. He kind of adjusts his rapier at his side. What is the nature of good and evil? Are they metaphysical properties that can be measured or changed? For example, if a man commits murder, his neighbors may call him evil. We may rightly say that he has evil properties. Hoping to atone for his act, the man may offer to pay the victim's family gold pieces to compensate for their loss. Now, let us say that the victim's family is satisfied by the payment, and they forgive him, saying that he is no longer evil. The man had evil properties before he made the payment, but now he does not. If properties of objects cannot be created or destroyed, but merely transferred, where did the evil properties go? Are the coins now evil? Is the family evil? What say you, Aina? Steps back, sits down.
Just because after he makes the payment, he is perceived to no longer be evil, does not mean that he is no longer evil. It just means those properties have been overlooked or willingly forgotten about. I think good and evil stems from intent, and what may seem evil to one may not seem evil to another. For instance, my tribe would never enslave another race, but here I see that as commonplace. I would consider you evil. But I do not think that you consider you evil, but that you consider you good. For you have placed yourself on a philosophical pedestal above the city. That is my answer.
Atreus gets up. Thank you for your response. That is a very interesting stance to take. Now, we will discuss the responses and return with our verdict momentarily. Please, your patience is very, very much appreciated. And he goes back, and they all get a little bit of a huddle. And 1 minute passes. And then 5 minutes pass. And 10 minutes pass. And just when you're about ready to call it and just like, I'm not waiting forever on these guys, they come back up, each of you, all together. And they're all holding a book each that they have produced from somewhere within the podium. Machaon steps up front. Well, Saviors of Thylea, this has been quite a pleasant exercise in philosophy. You have made some very interesting observations in giving us things to consider that we had not yet considered. Normally we do not allow non-philosophers amongst our midst, but you have shown that that is a worthwhile endeavor to take. So, once again, it is very much appreciated, and we would like to send you with these to further your philosophical knowledge and philosophizing skill. And they each hand out a book. And you see on each of these books, they are all slightly different shades of color. They are all leather bound, and they are all scribed on the front with, in common, of the name of each one of these philosophers. Machaon is handing over Machaon's Paradoxia Chalcedon is handing over Chalcedon's Mathematica. Herodotus is handing over Dialogues of Herodotus. And Atreus is handing over Atreus's Metaphysica. These books are quite rare and a very limited production, so please take them kindly and read them in your spare time. You will be the better for it, as we will be the better for having engaged with you today. Now I must find my tea. And he turns and walks off. Each of them thank you one by one and exit the stage after handing the books to you all. The crowd disperses slowly and quietly, some chattering amongst themselves, some keeping to their own thoughts, exiting out into the garden outside the Hall of Debate. As you begin to ponder the scene and the unusual atmosphere that you just took place in, you see, walking towards you from the doorway in the Hall of Debate, a dark-skinned woman. She is wearing very nice clothes, but she doesn't walk as though she is a noble. She has a swagger, a confidence, a surety of her step. With her curly hair and her sharp eyes, she approaches you. Well, I'm glad I found you. Queen Valis sent me to fetch you, as she has something very important to share with you.